Premiere.
I mentioned mics are hot.
Premiere. To be an indie means we buck a system that doesn't want us. To be a fringe filmmaker means we don't do it for them. We do it for ourselves. To be an outlaw on the fringe means we'll die before we fail. Be an outlaw.
We're back.
Joe, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm going to say it again. I'm hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit.
Hey, Ken, give me a break, man. I'm on time 99% of the time.
Ken, what's up? And I'm even remembering to go over here to the comments and switch it so I can see. Man, you know, it's funny the stuff you forget when you're away for so long. Fucking,
2 weeks. Damn.
It was 3, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, technically 3. You are absolutely
because
correct.
of the holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
Fucking 3 weeks is too long. Let's not be gone 3 weeks again.
Until next December.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to see where that falls on the calendar. I've given up the soda. Big moves happening here.
So just straight whiskey now?
Workout, huh?
Oh, just straight whiskey now without the soda?
You know, I did receive my ice sphere mold, so I can now make ice balls.
I saw that. You got some pretty big balls, my brother.
Look, we got people showing up already. What's up, everybody? Lance, love you. So happy you're here. Ken, good to see you, brother. Terry and I got to meet over the break. We met in person. I was actually in the physical presence of the drone Jesus, and it was amazing. We had snow that day, and you know, he parked his car, and he walked over from his car to the house through the snow, and there were no footprints. My beautiful wife, Rebecca, I love you. You are down at the bar tonight. If anybody's in Lexington, go see her. Have an adult beverage and say hello. Brandon, what's up? Gunny, how are you, brother? Love you. Ed, Big Ed, how's it going, man? Greg, Wheels, how's it going? Libby, how you doing? Matt, what's going on? Good to see both of you guys here.
And happy birthday to Matt.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight for the Season 6 premiere of Romero Pictures' Heavy Metal Indie Brigade. With me, your host, George C. Romero, and with me, as always, is my ever-present and faithful producer extraordinaire, Mr. Joe Ridgely. Joe, you look a little different. Are you missing something? Maybe some... What is it? Let me look at you. Turn a little... Did you lower your ears?
Did I lower my ears? I wasn't aware of that surgery. I'll have to look into it.
You cut a shitload of your hair off.
I did. Yeah. And yeah, that won't be shown until it grows back out again. I actually have it in a very small ponytail right now, so nobody can see it.
I thought you were going to say I actually have it in a very small jar, like you kept it because you're.
Yeah.
Man, let's see. We got more people tuning in here. We got more people. JD, what's up? Jennifer, how are you? Jeff, good to see you. First-time listener. Oh, well, I guess that's long-time listener, first-time caller. But you are a first-time listener. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Happy to have you here with us in the Indie Brigade. Hopefully you dig what's going on here. Let's see. Who else is here? Is that Smithson Lasers? What? He's got the weirdest screen names. What's up, Sean?
Right?
Glad to see the stitches are out. Glad to see everything's going well with the recovery from your surgery. Kickback, not something you want to try to catch.
Exactly. I'll let you pronounce that one.
I'm gonna go with Deeg. I could be wrong.
Hey, Deeg.
Wrong. What's up, Deeg? If we're wrong, just laugh or something. Tammy, what's up? Another first time watcher. This is awesome. We got some new folks here tonight. This
Sweet.
is great. It only took 6 seasons.
And again, everybody wonders why I drink on the show. I'm not on that soda diet.
You know, we figured out over the break that when we started this, I had a beautifully naturally colored beard, and working with Joe has turned me gray.
Wow. If you guys only knew what working with George does to me, I mean, seriously, you would never imagine. George, I'm not feeling so well.
You kind of look like a wizard. You look like Bizarro me.
Wow. I don't know, man. I got a new camera with new toys. It's kind of fun.
I know. What kind of camera did you get?
I just ended up with the Logitech. You know, one that's 10 years newer than the one I had.
Oh yeah, Logitech. That's like cauliflower.
Logitech, whatever.
For all of our first-time listeners, watchers, viewers, for all of our new members of the Indie Brigade, there are a lot of inside jokes that you will eventually catch up on. I recommend you go back and watch some of our previous seasons. Our mission here is one of a true outlaw in the indie, fringe indie content creation world. We talk about a lot of stuff that you can't learn even in film school. We have a lot of amazing people on this show to talk about some stuff that, you know, most of the people we have on the show have forgotten more than a lot of us will ever learn. And we just kind of talk and rap about the process of filmmaking, the process of sort of outlaw filmmaking, ways to get around, you know, ways to circumvent certain generally widely accepted procedures, ways to make it easier to apologize and ask permission when you're making a movie with no money. And we have a hell of a good time. So welcome to the Indie Brigade, everybody. That's all I got. That's my big welcome.
Wow.
Fuck.
All right. On that note, if you guys
also,
haven't
blame Joe. We blame Joe for everything. I didn't mean to cut you off, but we blame Joe for everything. So it's hashtag blame Joe. If anything goes wrong in your life, whether it be at the job, at home, absolutely anything, just blame Joe. It's the only message on earth larger than that of the Indie Brigade.
All right. So now, if you failed to catch the latest episode of Drone Cav with our resident drone expert, Terry Gerald, you know, the guy, DJ, the guy who walks on water, apparently, according to George, go over to the YouTube channel. Check it out right now. Indie Brigade YouTube channel. He has a new episode on there. And what do we have? This weekend on Sunday, we have the Wagner Wiles with Tyler Shea Cohn. Damien Maffei is going to be on there. He is, I guess, the good-looking guy on the left and the scary-ass monster on the right.
Awesome.
Not quite sure what that's from, but somebody out there will.
Awesome shows. And by the way, I technically said that Terry floated over snow.
Floated. Okay.
I didn't say he walked on water.
Gotcha.
I said he passed over snow and left no tracks. He's like Snow Jesus. We got to be careful with Terry. You know, we don't want to blow his ego up too much.
Does he say, ping me with drone and small camera questions? There you go. Oh, and everybody, apparently that picture is from the movie Haunt. So go take a look at that.
So Drone Cav, for anybody new here, is an amazing show that Terry Terry Gerald runs, and he's a perfect example. He's forgotten more about drones than I ever care to learn, and he gives away everything he knows about drones, small camera systems on the Drone Cab for absolutely free. So tune in, learn some shit, and take your filmmaking to the next level. Take your content creation to the next level using drones. The Wagner Wiles, we love Lance and Samantha Wagner. And well, everybody loves them except Clegg, who I think I saw in here. Clegg, what's up? So there's a fun feud going on there. If you ever get a chance to go check that out, check it out. Lauren, what's up, brother? Hope the Dark Military 2 is coming along. We're all waiting. So can you get on that? Thank you very much.
And another thing about Lauren, he actually premiered one of his short movies on our network, which we may start doing again pretty soon. So,
yeah. And Lauren and I have had coffee together, which was awesome. Great conversation, great guy, very talented filmmaker and storyteller. So, and as you can see here, according to Lance, Clegg is his nemesis. What else?
Okay.
Anything you want to learn about anything that's going on, you can find at romeropictures.com. Very, very easy to remember, romeropictures.com. We've got links to just about everything that's going on with us, with all things Romero Pictures, with all of the stuff I'm working on with Heavy Metal and Diga Studios. And we've got an awesome merch store. We keep threatening to add new merch, but that will eventually happen. But for now, you can go to romeropictures.com/merch, get you some cool t-shirts, hats, coffee mugs, that type of stuff. And then we've got a line called Scare Tactical, and anything that you buy from the Scare Tactical line of Romero Pictures Indie Brigade merch, the profits go directly to the Veterans Compound, which is a non-profit organization that recently, last season, finally got our 501c3 certification from the IRS. So we are a new 501c3 organization dedicated to helping veterans process their experiences through the creation of content. Gunny John McLaren is one of our resident veterans. He is one of the best people I've ever known. I'm proud to call him brother, and happy that he's here. And so that's it. So Scare Tactical, romeropictures.com/merch. Go get you some Scare Tactical stuff and help us help veterans. Thank you very much. What else? Let's see. You'll see Joe and I are using these amazing Aston microphones right here. You just kind of see a little piece of it, but I'm telling you, these things are sweet. Aston Microphones is one of the best microphone companies. There you go. There's a better shot of it. One of the best microphone companies in the world, started by a gentleman that I respect the hell out of because of his outlaw approach to starting his microphone company a handful of years ago, and quickly rose to receiving awards like Best Microphone of 2019, I think. So these are the stealth microphones. They are reasonably priced, and they are phenomenal microphones. So check them out if you have voiceover needs. Check them out if you've got ADR needs, any of that stuff. If you're doing a podcast, if you're creating any sort of content in a controlled environment. I haven't taken one out on set yet, but hopefully that will happen this year on one of the 3 to 4 films that I will be directing this year. So that's the other big announcement we dropped at the end of last season. The very cool thing about that is that my intention is to actually put as much of that process out to the public via the Indie Brigade here. I would like to make everything that I do and everything that I go through available to everybody in the Indie Brigade, so y'all can kind of see the process and see how I get it done. Not that my way is right, but it's just how I do things. So I'm very excited about that. That's going to be super fucking cool. Our own Richard Grieco is actually going into production on a film called Night of the Tommyknockers on Monday, I think. And he's going to be doing some appearances from set over the next couple of weeks, so that's going to be super fun. And he's going to record some stuff for us, and he'll be here later to talk a little bit about that. Also joining us later this evening is the Professor. Fuck yes. We love Grieco and the Professor, so we will talk about that, and I think it's going to be a good conversation because our first guests tonight are Mr. Andre Gower and Mr. Ryan Lambert from the Muster Squad. And you probably have also heard of the documentary Wolfman's Got Nards. So I think that it should be an interesting conversation tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, of course, we've got plenty of room and time for all of your questions for Andre and Ryan. So,
but wait, there's more.
There is more. Coming up after Romero Pictures Heavy Metal Indie Brigade, we've got Romero Pictures Heavy Metal Indie Brigade, End of the Night, with our very own Mr. David Lee Madison. His guest tonight will be Marilyn Ghigliotti, who we all know from Clerks, and I think that that's going to be a super fun fucking show tonight. So I'm glad y'all are here. I'm glad y'all stick with us. I'm glad y'all came back, and I love every single one of you. So thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for helping us make the brigade what it is, and thanks for being patient as we kind of figure it all out. So, you know, this is kind of something that's new to a lot of us, and we're working very hard to bring more shows and content. We've got some more shows that are still in the works, but they are coming. It's very cool. It's been one of the best experiences of my entire life doing the Indie Brigade so far, and I look forward to doing it as long as you guys will keep watching. So thank you for everything. Thank you, everybody. And boom, there you go. Let's see. I think a bunch of other people have tuned in.
Yep, but we got to do a little more housekeeping. Tiny bit more. And since you have like the better voice.
Clegg says that my voice is like fine wine.
Getting a couple of complaints that your volume is a little low.
Well, do you want my volume low or do you want other people to echo?
Survey says I'd rather have your volume low.
Are you hearing echo? Are you getting echo at this point?
Echo, 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 hello. A little, not enough to annoy me.
All right.
Anyway,
Itai,
hello,
what's up,
Itai.
brother? Itai from My Indie Productions. What is up, man? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We can all see the StreamYard graphics, so let's go ahead and talk about that quickly. And while you have that up there, I'm going to awkwardly readjust my microphone while nobody can see me, because that could be part of what's going on. How's that sound? Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, I like that noise.
Wow. All right, so I'll take over on this for a
StreamYard.
second. One.
I got it right now. StreamYard. It is the platform that we use to stream the Romero Pictures Heavy Metal Indie Brigade to you all live. We actually have been using StreamYard since the beginning. A whole lot of people were asking us what platform we used and how we did it and how it was so cool. Over the quarantine period, over COVID, over 2020, I guess those are all basically synonymous now. We noticed a lot of people started using it, and you know, we're very proud to be one of the sort of first loud partners that they had, especially in the fringe outlaw world. You know, we get to test a lot of things out. We get to work closely with those guys to help make the platform as good and powerful and strong for all of you as we possibly can. So StreamYard is a great platform. We love those guys, and that's what we're using.
Sweet. And we're getting a lot of that's better, can hear them now.
Yeah, it was probably a little bit of placement.
Yeah, I know. That's why I feel like, you know, I have to have this, like... Anywho. Unfortunately, you tell me if I'm too far away from it that...
Yeah, now you sound real soft.
Okay, well, that's why I'm like this.
We're working it out, folks. We're working it out. You'd think after 6 seasons we'd have this shit down to a science, but, you know, we're figuring it the fuck out. Let's see. What else is the big news? Hey, guess what happened?
We have 2 guests waiting in the green room?
Yeah, but guess what else happened first?
I give up. I hear buzzing. Now I do not hear buzzing. Okay.
That was what was going on with my AirPods, which is why I had to take them out. The first issue of The Rise was published in issue 302 of Heavy Metal magazine. And guess what I happen to have right here? Bam!
Playboy?
Look at that. Heavy Metal.
Heavy Metal.
Number 302. And just so y'all know, I'm super excited about this because there it is. Issue number 1 of The Rise is officially out in publication. I hope you go find it. I hope you pick it up. And I hope that you subscribe to Heavy Metal so that you can catch all 13 issues of it. And we've had some amazing conversations. There is some phenomenal stuff coming with regard to Rise. And you can all look forward to some pretty cool announcements over the next several months.
So you are officially a writer for Heavy Metal magazine now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have been for a minute, but
but now it's you have it in your hands.
Yeah,
everybody else can see it.
I'm officially published now.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
How fucking cool is this, by the way? How fucking cool is this? Because Heavy Metal magazine, like, how many of us had Heavy Metal when we were kids, right? Like, it was a fucking amazing. And how amazing is this? I don't know if you all can see that. Oh, wait, no, you can't. Wait, I gotta figure this out. Hold on. I can't see in front of the fucking magazine. Damn it. Look at that.
I'm assuming it says Romero on there. There it is.
There it is. Over here. Yeah, buddy. How
and
fucking
Romero.
amazing. That's like bucket list shit, man. That is like, that's amazing. That's one of those things that growing up, you just, you're like, man, I'd love to write something for Heavy Metal. And then one day, you're writing something for Heavy Metal. It is fucking amazing, Libby. It's fucking wild is what it is. It's just nuts. And it's, and I got to be honest with y'all, it probably would have never happened if Joe hadn't sent an email back at the beginning of quarantine to try to get Heavy Metal to talk to us about DEF CON 1, which was actually the very first online-only fan convention ever done. And we did it actually about 2 months before anybody else. So that was when the fated meeting of me and Matt Medney, the new CEO of Heavy Metal, happened. And now here we are. Boom, boom, boom.
Yes,
So
first
there you go.
2-day online convention.
Yeah, it was insane. It was nuts. It was super fun. We had awesome people. We streamed for like 16 and a half hours. Yeah, that's a good hashtag, BlameJoe. Yeah, buddy.
All right. You ready?
All right.
Well, are you going to do some intros, or am I just popping people up and scaring the crap out of them? Or
Yeah, do that.
all right. Andre and Ryan, I'm popping you guys up, man. You have been warned. There's
What's
Andre, and there's Ryan.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Jesus.
Ryan, are you all right? I'm sorry.
Oh.
Andre, are you there? Are you actually frozen?
Uh-oh.
Or are you just posing for dramatic entry?
That's one hell of a pose.
That's amazing.
Uh-oh.
That's fucking dramatic as hell.
So anyway, when Andre and I were kids,
Ryan, how are you?
I'll just say, I got you, Andre. There he is.
Ryan, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you guys doing?
I'm great.
I'm glad
great.
someone fixed the sound thing because I'm like, I can't hear George at
Oh,
all.
okay.
And I'm like, oh no, he's gonna be asking questions. I'm gonna be like this, like listening.
Well, it was broken, and that was Joe's fault, but it's fixed, so that was me.
Sounds
So
great now. You're all good.
that's how it works
And
around here.
Congratulations on Heavy Metal, because that was my jam when I was a kid. I loved getting the new issue of Heavy Metal. Loved the film. Loved all that artwork. So that's a thumbs up for me, dude. Thanks. That's awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. That means the world to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, like pretty much everybody here, I'm a massive fan of Monster Squad. So having both of you guys here tonight is just kind of a huge deal for me. So I'm very excited about it. I think Andre's still going for the dramatic effect. He's really committed.
Usually, I have to say, it's usually me that's going through this. And Andre's going like, I don't know where he is. Maybe he went to the can or something.
He's really committed to that smoldering stoicism this evening. I don't. Andre, if you can hear me, it's just awesome to have you here too, man. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of people who are interested in talking to you about Monster Squad and asking you some questions. We've got a lot of people who are very excited. I think Tammy Coleman maybe found us tonight because of you guys. She is a first-time viewer
I heard
tonight. So I'm looking forward to a lot of those
I
questions.
heard, oh, I think we're connected.
Uh-oh.
Is he here?
I heard him.
Has he arrived?
Well, for the three people who haven't seen the movie, this is what we're referring to. If you haven't seen it, you got issues. Go.
If you haven't seen it, you
watch.
should probably. I don't know if you're welcome here. No,
Right?
of course you're welcome here. Just go watch it.
Whatever. I'm not that polite.
I don't know.
Man.
Oh, was that Andre?
I don't know.
For a split second. Oh, well,
All
there
right.
he goes. Oh, well. Bye.
So Ryan, will there be
Now
will
we
there
can
be
really talk.
sure will there be any singing or dancing tonight?
If you want, I can, I don't know. No.
No.
I might dance. I might dance. There might be a slight singing version, something. We'll see what happens. I don't know. It'll be spontaneous and fun. We'll see.
Well, actually, you know what? And hopefully we get Andre back up here too. But in the meantime, you know, our very own David Madison is a massive fan of the Monster Squad as well. And I would love
Dave.
if we could bring him up to be part of tonight's show and part of tonight's chat with you guys. Andre, are you there?
I'm going to say no on Dave,
I
so just
think
don't
so.
worry about it.
Oh, Andre may be here now.
Nope.
Let's see, Dave. Let's see. I'm going to move Dave over here.
If it
And
makes you guys feel
Dave.
any better, there was one night in particular where this happened to me, and then my computer crashed, like literally as we were starting the show.
Is it just me, or does Andre have a serious Chris Pine vibe going on tonight?
Oh, I hope you heard that.
Well, that's a compliment. I mean, he's one of the.
Sure, he's a good-looking man.
There you go. There you go.
David,
looks
how are
great
you
in a
tonight?
fanny pack.
I'm very well. First off, I want to say hello to everybody. I hope everybody had a fantastic holiday season. I want to say happy birthday to Matt Staley, who's a part of the Romero Pictures Indie Brigade family. I want to say hello to Sean Smithson. I hope your surgery went well. And I also want to say I'm absolutely honored to be on the same screen with Mr. Ryan Lambert and Mr. Andre Gower. It was one of my favorite films of all time. And I am honestly one of the very few people who could honestly say they've seen it in a theater. So it was a
Very
long time ago.
few.
It was a long time
Did it come
ago.
out? What year did it come out?
I think it came out in '89, as I recall.
I think I
87.
probably saw it in the theater.
1987.
'87.
87,
That was
87. I probably saw it in the theater.
I saw it in the Angelica in New York City because I went to school at LaSalle Academy on 2nd Avenue and 2nd Street, and I cut my
I know
last
they-
two classes.
You're well. I know the
Oh.
theater well.
And I cut my last two classes because I was a cheap bastard and I had to pay for the matinee. That's all I could afford back then. And I went in not really knowing what to expect, but it was just a fabulous movie. Ryan, can you tell me anything about what it was like to work with Duncan Regehr?
I didn't have many scenes with him. In fact, I mean, the only thing maybe shot I'm in with him is that, you know, the final battle scene at the very end when he's being sucked into the vortex and, you know, we're trying to hold on to Sean for dear life. He was there during that period, but he was, you know, he was around sometimes because I was like standing off to the side off camera when, you know, he picks up Ashley and I was kind of laughing my ass off because she freaked out so hard. And but he didn't. I didn't work with Duncan. Like I just saw Dracula. Like I didn't meet Duncan until maybe 2016 or something like that. So he really just focused. He was Dracula, and that was it. Didn't come out until he was ready to be on set. And other than that, I never met the actual man.
George, may I indulge in one other quick question?
Yeah, of course, please.
Fred Decker, the director who made the Monster Squad, His film previous, before the Monster Squad, was a fantastic horror movie, another fantastic movie called Night of the Creeps, I think, with as memory serves me, with Tom Atkins. And this is it's not overwhelmingly known, but if you watch Night of the Creeps closely, in the high school bathroom on the wall, it's in graffiti, it says the Monster Squad rules or something to that effect, way before he ever made the Monster Squad. I think that's one of the coolest Easter eggs in horror film history.
Agreed.
Yeah, I didn't know that until after we had made the Monster Squad, that little thing existed. You know, Shane and Fred, they had been writing this thing for a long time. So it was always like a story idea in their head. And, you know, so that was sort of like their own little, like, you know, to themselves, really, not knowing what the Monster Squad was going to be to the, you know, these days, not when it, you know, when it came out, obviously it didn't do very well, but it was just sort of a nod to themselves. And it's kind of cool now that people like, you know, you, Dave, like, you get to see that kind of stuff and point it out. And it's cute.
And when you
It's
say,
interesting.
I'm sorry.
No. It's like Scott Meany says that Monster Squad inspired his love of horror at an early age. Thank you for the amazing work. Deirdre says she loved that movie. Where could she get a new copy? Yeah, I think my question is, my first question is, what was that like, and how did the filmmakers approach the fact that you guys were going to be dealing with a lot of these monsters that were icons to the world, to horror fans and everything? Or was that something, did anybody kind of go over the potential importance of the material that you guys were going to be working with, or the creatures or the monsters? Or was it just everybody, they didn't want to put that kind of pressure on you? Or was it, you know, was it a big deal? Were you aware of, like, you know, the history of these monsters?
I was certainly aware, just by being like sort of a monster kid myself when I was little. I loved watching all the old classics late at night when you're not supposed to, just like we all did. As far as them making sure we were aware, I believe Fred and Shane kind of went over it with us a little bit, and it was more like their history with it. You know, you can see both their histories in the documentary Wolfmans Got Nards, directed by Andre Gower, out now on Blu-ray. But you can, yeah, there it is. He did go over it a little bit, but yeah, it was more about their love for it and why this came into existence. As far as like preparing us for actually being in their presence, zero. It was like, today we're going to do the scene where you meet Frankenstein's monster. Great. You know, be on the set at 5:30 a.m., la-da-la-da-la-da, be in makeup by 6:30, have your lunch, blah, 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 blah. We're, you know, standing on a set, and there he is. What the? Like, we didn't see, I had never seen any, like, makeup tests or anything. I hadn't seen anything until Tom walked on the set as dressed as Frankenstein's monster. And it was a little overwhelming at first. It was a little hard, but the other thing a lot of people you got to remember, there's hundreds of people around us. You know, and they're all doing things and pulling fucking cables and, like, you know, and there's lighting and everyone's yelling at each other and Fred's trying to command the whole thing, and then I'm just kind of standing there like, just tell, you know, I always say, like, just tell me where to stand here, and then I say the thing right there. Okay, that's what I do. That's my job. And then, and then this looming figure comes and you're just like, oh my God. I was a little, I'm older than the other kids by a couple of years, so I think I was already like, and I'm also playing the toughie. So it's like if I'm on set going, you know, like, that's not gonna play. So I had to, like, you know, put on airs and be like, you know, like, whatever with all this. Who cares? I'll kill all these things.
But as a monster kid, you just said you were a monster kid growing up. What must that have been like? I mean, to see Frankenstein's monster. Was that the first one that you saw?
Besides maybe like when I went to Universal Studios when I was a kid, and like they're all walking around.
No. I mean, like during filming, was that the first one that they brought out to you? Was Frankenstein's monster?
Oh, let's see.
Like in your schedule, in your production schedule.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Did you have like a moment where you? Was that like a big deal for it? Like, was it just a massive deal? Being a monster kid.
I think it was the first time we sort of because like I think the first thing I shot was the schoolyard scene with the bullies. So I'm like, okay, we're making like a Disney movie of the week. It didn't the monster part hadn't come in yet.
Yeah.
And so by the time we got to that, it's like, oh right, that's what we're doing. Got it. And then you did. I remember having to adjust a little bit. It was a little weird.
All right.
Hey,
So I think
buddy.
we actually have Ryan here. But I just want to play on what George was saying, though. So from what I read, Universal really got on this movie and Stan Winston, and the monsters couldn't look like Universal monsters. They had to adjust them, and
because they're still using them in the parks. They were still using the likeness in the theme park, so they couldn't. They didn't want them to look exact. They said, just don't. We had to make them look, completely different than they did in the original productions.
Yeah.
Of those classic films. So, but you can tell it's them.
Right.
There's no mistaking that that's the creature from the Black Lagoon. It's just like ours is called Gillman. But and that design is incredible. I mean, it almost was a blessing, I guess, like because it wasn't like, oh, we're just going to imitate and recreate. Like we're going to actually, think of a whole new concept of these creatures and these monsters, but with keeping the sort of the original feelings of each character.
And Daniela says, one of the things that stuck with me about the movie was the camaraderie of the kids in the movie. They were realistic friends, not perfect heroes.
Excellent.
Cool.
Andre, happy you've made it back.
Yeah, sorry guys. And apparently, I very rarely have tech issues. And apparently, my computer decided to take a dump, and
it happens.
so I think I'm back though. Until I'm not. Hopefully I sound good, so it's fine. I have more than enough confidence in Ryan to hold the fort now.
Now that you're here, I'm out of here.
I knew.
David had David had a compliment for you when you were freezing. So I think you met David before the show.
Brief, yeah.
David Madison has joined us. David is a huge fan of Monster Squad, just like I am, just like Joe is, and just like everybody watching tonight is. We've been beating up Ryan with questions.
Well, he deserves it. That's all right.
Yeah, if you didn't hear it, Andre, I said you have a Chris Pine thing going on tonight. You look very, very. You got a Chris Pine thing. Serious, reflective.
I'll take that. He's Captain Kirk. I'll take it.
There you go.
I usually have some scruff, and then it's been trimmed.
It sort of ties in, though, right? It sort of ties in, if you know what I mean. Kirk.
It does sort of. I mean, we'll see. What Ryan's alluding to is that I was T.J. Hooker's son. I'm T.J. Hooker. So, which is kind of a weird twist. So I think I should have been.
So you actually worked with William Shatner.
I did, yeah.
You have my sincerest condolences. I just got done working with him. And,
well, you got done with current Shatner, apparently.
Oh, I don't know if that is there a difference.
Yeah, he was. It was very memorable. I remember, it's just a TV show. You come on, you play a son, and there's a sister, and I think we did 3 or 4 episodes, maybe 5. I don't think it was that many, and then the show got canceled that season, and then it got picked up again. I think it got picked up for another season or 2 by a different network, but they went away from the kids living with them storyline. So we were out.
Hey, one question for you guys about the Monster Squad. Shane Black was, of course, one of the co-writers. Did you guys get to work with him or meet him while you guys were filming the film?
Well,
Absolutely. I mean, he was there from day one.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Shane is also the gentleman who was one of the guys in the original Predator, and has went on to be a major player in the MCU, directing Iron Man 3, as I recall.
You are correct. Yeah, Shane and Fred were friends in college, and Fred had kind of had the idea for a story about the Little Rascals fighting the Universal monsters, and Shane was like, "Oh, that's cool," and they started writing it. And that was the first thing that Shane had written that I believe actually got made. Fred had just done Night of the Creeps. During that time they were writing the script for Monster Squad, I believe, or even after. But what's cool about Shane is while we were making Monster Squad, he had sold his first spec script for a little thing called Lethal Weapon, and so that was that sort of took Shane on a nice trajectory, like a fucking Tesla rocket.
It's amazing how these things happen.
No, wait a minute. He just told you who that guy's roommate was, David. You got to tell him who your roommate was now.
Oh, in college? It's funny
Yes.
because it's how funny, how close the world is connected. You guys, of course, are connected to Shane Black. I went to Queens College and was roommates for 3 years with Jon Favreau, who started the MCU and who hired Shane Black. So it's funny.
Yeah, and I think what's so neat, not only the trajectory of Shane through his spec scripts through the 90s, like after Lethal Weapon and Last Boy Scout and Long Kiss Goodnight, and then there was like a 10-year break, and then he comes out with what I think is my favorite Shane Black movie, which is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And
It's a great film.
Ryan and I talk about how simple but so good that movie is, which also in my opinion, resurrected two actors from literally the dead, and that was Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr. And then a few years later, Robert Downey Jr. is fucking Iron Man. So it's and I think that's kind of where that loops back around, where Shane directs and comes in and writes Iron Man 3 and works in that world. So I think that was a pretty cool kind of circle coming around.
And actually, right now, he's prepping to start filming. I don't know if this is commonly known, but he's prepping to start filming the new Doc Savage movie. So that should be pretty epic.
I think Shane and Doc Savage go back longer than Shane and the Monster Squad.
Really?
I know it's something that he's always wanted to do. So I mean, we can't wait. As long as they let him make a Shane Black movie, it's going to be great.
It's funny. I mean, The Predator, which was the last Shane Black directed movie. And George, I'll shut the hell up. You could just zap me when I'm done babbling.
No,
'cause
I'm just drinking my coffee. And this is
I've got a mute button. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. The last Predator movie that Shane directed, and you think that with his foundation in that series, it would have been like one of the greatest Predator movies. But for some reason, it was probably the first time that he's ever dropped the ball, and it was just it's strange that it came out that way. I don't know if it was too many chefs with their hands in the was what I suspect, but it's just weird watching that movie, knowing that was Shane's baby.
I
think
think
Andre's comment of if they let him make a Shane Black movie.
That's probably
Answers all of your questions there.
George is adept at reading between the lines. That's fantastic. I mean, Ryan and I, we've sat and talked about that. And what was interesting is, I kind of knew a little bit of what they were trying to work on when they were breaking the story. And some of that stuff was really cool. And I mean, that's a giant studio movie. And I think it went long, and then they had to do some reshoots. And I don't know if it was too many chefs in the kitchen. It might have been too many suits in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And then at the end with, kind of final, helicoptering of what this is or what that is. I don't know. I mean, I have my personal opinions on it, which I thought could have been rad. I think what happened, purely personal opinion, not the thoughts or beliefs of anything official, just my dumb ass, is I think they ended up at the end being the studio getting spooked on having those characters be those characters and allowing them to be what they were. And it seemed to not make sense, but if you had let it be, I think the whole thing would have been a tight ball with all those characters and what they were. I know it got a little choppy at the end. They had to go back and do a lot of reshoots and re-edits. And I think, I don't know. Because we didn't get too in depth in it with Fred or Shane at one point, but that's my personal opinion, is I think they should have just let that cast go and keep them in the movie. And it would have been pretty rad, because that's really the whole thing. Even in the original Predator, it's about that cast for that first 2 acts of that movie. And then it becomes just the Predator and Schwarzenegger because everybody's dead. But, that camaraderie and that witty banter back and forth and the craziness that was going on with the 7, that story, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs.
Yep.
And
Thomas Jane, anytime you have Thomas Jane in a movie, you can't fail. So, I mean, it's not a bad film. It's definitely a great popcorn movie, but it's just like I was expecting a lot more. I think that's a fair assessment.
Well, I think you named, again, personal opinion, you named the one guy of that crew of the crazies, they're called the crazies, or the misfits, and he's the one with Tourette's, because everybody in the movie has some sort of on the spectrum of some level. Mm-hmm. And Thomas Jane being an operator with Tourette's that's a funny combination. And I think somebody got scared of allowing that to be out there as much as it was, thinking we can't make fun of people with Tourette's. And I was like, in my mind, you're celebrating people that can still do something that may have Tourette's. Well, and you're clinching up in the wrong direction. And they should have just let all of those guys go. As funny as the words I'm sure were on the page, and all those great faces and brains in that crew, they should just let them go and let them be the movie.
Yeah,
I promise to shut the hell up now, George.
I'll shut the hell up now too. That's fine.
A lot of times these days, the
I wanna
writers
talk
have
about it too,
a nice table full of lawyers right next to them.
You didn't see it. All right. So when I first contacted Andre and Ryan, I explained to them what the Indie Brigade was about. And it was about up-and-coming filmmakers trying to get a foot in. And so what I would like to talk about a little more is Wolfman's Got Nards. If you guys haven't seen this documentary, seek it out. But how did that come about? Was it crowdfunded? How did it all start?
Well,
it's at the 101 Cafe.
which is now closed.
I know.
It was one of those things that it ended up once it sort of happened very quickly, but the lead up to it was the experiences that myself and Ryan and Ashley Bank and the rest of the crew interacting with these fans over the last, ever since 2006, 2007, that over time we really understood that this was something different. It wasn't just something that was a kind of a flash in the pan kind of resurgence, and it was going to die away, that everybody said, oh, I'm fun, I got to see that again. This thing really took off, being the Monster Squad fandom. And the long story short is over time, I really saw that there were people that were very, very connected to this movie on different levels than I'd seen with other fandom. And I thought that was interesting to investigate a little bit or find out what that is and why did this movie die 30 years ago, and then now it's bigger than it even ever could be, and why are people still talking about it? And it was about that connection and how movies, not just Monster Squad, but movies or books or songs can actually impact and change people's lives or their worlds and affect who they are later on. And over time, I just was enthralled by that dynamic that we kept seeing out there on the road and online and on social media. And Ryan and I were on the road a lot, even leading up to the 30th anniversary year. And I kind of batted around the idea that, hey, we have our podcast at the time, and let's find a crappy used camera and go on the road and kind of docu-follow some of these crazy appearances we're going to do, and then sit 3 or 4 people down in a chair in LA and talk about it, and have one of our editor friends cut it together for pizza and then we'll put it on the website or something. And I thought it was just going to be sort of something that was kind of low and gritty and grindy. And I experimented with that one time, and we went to a big event and got this, and it didn't really work. And the timing right then was interesting because I was doing another project that sort of, actually two things that were taking off. One of them became Short Ends, which is the show that Ryan and I co-hosted together on Nerdist digital channel, and where we did sort of, what you guys celebrate. We looked at short films and celebrated making of short films and short filmmakers, and how they can start out in their career. And so the documentary idea kind of went on a side burner for a couple months, and I had this very kind of sliding doors serendipity afternoon with an old friend of mine going to lunch, and in front of her office building, these three guys walked out of it, and they ended up being the three guys that ended up being my production team for Wolfmans Got Nards at Pilgrim Studios. And once that kind of serendipitous meeting took place, we started talking about this project, and that was something they were interested in, and we put it together and brought it to the executives at Pilgrim, pitched it to them, and we were off and running in literally like a week. And it was great timing because we were going right into the 30th anniversary year, and over the next 10 months, which is what we actually shot footage on, we crammed a lot of stuff in there. We got to go to a lot of places, and poor Ryan didn't know what he was in for when I said, I'm gonna work on this project and you're going to be a big part of it, because we're going to the stuff, but it's not just these appearances. We're going to be making a movie. You're going to have a camera in your face a lot of the time too, and you're going to. But even at the time of where it got kind of greenlit, we didn't know about half of what we had were going to fall into place in that 10-month time span. So Henry McComas and I and the team at Pilgrim, and then myself and Ryan and Ashley, for all these events and appearances, everything just kind of fell in line for the best possible 10 months of grabbing experiences that we could possibly hope for.
The synopsis talks about looking at cult film through the lens of Monster Squad, and I think what's interesting to me is that, like you both have said actually tonight, that neither of you realized what was going to happen with Monster Squad 30 years later. And what I guess in my opinion, and a lot of our viewership, a lot of the members of the Indie Brigade are just massive fans of the Monster Squad, massive fans of you guys, massive fans of Shane, massive fans of the whole thing. And I think what was your perception of sort of the cult film world going into making Wolfman's Got Nards, and how did that change by the time you finished? And what is your perception of that cult film world now?
I found it interesting seeing the final product actually, with Andre and I discussing it a little bit before we before Andre embarked on the whole entire process. But beforehand, we would always ask ourselves, like, why is this? How do we get to the bottom of this? How do we get to the heart of it? How do we find out what that word actually means in terms of film? And, everyone's got their like little cult things, and obviously there's like the umbrellas of Rocky Horror and stuff like that are actually where maybe that came from, and Night of the Living Dead and all these other amazing old films that where did this phenomenon come from, and what are people's opinions on this? And the best, I think my favorite part about the whole thing, and that question particularly, is that we got 100 different answers, which I love. What is a cult film? I don't know. I guess it's something that, maybe didn't do so well at the box office, but then found an audience later. And then it has this kind of underground, secret password kind of thing. You're wearing a shirt that says Stephen King rules at a convention, and someone comes up to you and says, you know what, Stephen King does rule. George A. Romero does rule. And then someone goes, yeah, but I know Stephen King rules, but you don't know what this is from. You don't know what this shirt represents. Exactly. And but if you do, if someone comes up to you and goes, the Monster Squad, then
Yep.
you're in the goddamn club. You know, it's
like
a
street
very
cred.
tight. Yes, exactly. It,
Mhm.
it puts it out
It's-
there that you understand what something is and it's ours. And like, you know, people walk around with Freddy, Jason, we all know we got it, you know. Frozen, we know, we can see it, we all have seen it. But, you know, you got the Monster Squad shirt on and someone knows it, it's very special. And I think that's what makes a cult film.
And I think
That's what I think.
I think Ryan just touched on the interesting thing that kind of ties in with the other half of the experience that we, you know, kind of found out. There's a funny dynamic where a lot of kids that saw Monster Squad, whether they saw it in the theater, you know, David said he saw it in the theater. He was either the only one, or there's maybe 3 in that theater that night, and or they found it on VHS or HBO, and you know they passed it around the schoolyard, or they picked the VHS tape and gave it to their friends in the cul-de-sac. But a lot of kids that saw it in the theater, they didn't know it wasn't a huge box office thing. They just thought it was this awesome movie that they loved and didn't know about numbers and the industry and longevity. And so they didn't realize why it would be a cult. And like, this isn't a cult film. This is just a classic film that's one of the best of all time. And so that's another element that, like Ryan says, is like everybody has their own answer. And, you know, it's very interesting to be, you know, mentioned, you know, as 2 kids that are part of a movie that's in this kind of category that has transcended not only the year that it, you know, came out, but 3 decades after, that will probably, because of archetypes and themes and characters and situations and effects paradigms that, right when I jumped in with tech issues, you were talking about creatures. I think will hold a place very interesting in cinema, monster, cult, horror movies for a long time. And I don't think you can plan for that in 1986, 1987. But it's sort of something that ended up happening with this movie. And I think that also makes it more special for the people that, what I really take away out of why these people connected with it, like Ryan was asking the question, is everybody feels either they're loners or weirdos or a misfit, and they only, you know, they like this cool stuff that they think's cool, but nobody else understands or doesn't like. But when you walk into a room and you see someone with a Stephen King rule shirt, you know that person gets you and understands. And back in 87, 89, 91, when you're on VHS or HBO, you're only dealing with those kids. Maybe your outreach is maybe the next town over or a summer camp, and you can trade it. And these little pockets of squad army was building over time. And then the internet came out and we had that original screening and it just blew up. And I think they all got to come together and they all felt that they're the only ones that knew this movie, and it was their duty to show it to their friends, and they bought more into the fold. They made their own club. And then they realized there was a lot more like that. So they all didn't feel like misfits as individuals anymore. They were all part of this larger group that celebrated around this title. And that's a pretty cool thing to be involved in.
It's an amazingly cool thing to be involved with. Do you guys think that it's possible for any film to ever have that kind of personal connection, cult type thing ever again these days, now that we've got the internet, now that everything is so connected, now that I mean, like you said, HBO, and it was not easily accessible once it was no longer in theaters. Do you think that can ever happen again?
I mean,
Start with
obviously,
Andre.
time will tell.
Start with the round.
Time will tell, I guess. But honestly, I don't think so. I'm not saying Monster Squad that was it. That was the last one. Like, we did it.
No, I
coolest.
don't mean it like
Yeah.
that. I just mean,
But,
do you
like,
think it's possible for that to happen again?
Everything's so readily available now. It's just so out there. You can't have something that is so. I mean, you might have something that might seem cultish because, like, not a lot of people saw it, and like maybe like a TV show that people didn't really watch, that it was only on for 2 seasons, and like, oh, I love that show. Oh, you didn't see that? Oh, you got to see this. Like, but it was only on for 2 seasons. Yeah, but they're amazing. You've got to see it. I think it would be more on that level. I think maybe more like indie films might do that, like really super independent films that only got like a limited, run. But then boom, they're on, Amazon Prime right away, and so they're available. There's still a lot of word of mouth with a lot of things, but yeah, it's just hard to imagine something being that much of a failure at one point, and then this many years later becoming some sort of weird phenomenon. I don't know if that'll ever happen again.
Yeah,
And I think all of the things, I agree. I think I would certainly never say absolutely never again. Nothing's ever going to change someone's lives that they watch on a screen or on a tape. Because I think music does that all the time. But I honestly think it was a combination of multiple things at the right time when it was made and when it came out, and then shortly after, and then just sort of that kind of afternoon period after that until it kind of, the sun rose on it again. I don't know if we're going to have that epic in time of technology in movies, stories that we were having, kids adventure films that, started to get a little more dangerous. Now we're used to it. There wasn't very many kids adventure films that were actually dangerous. There's a handful, but most of them were fun and campy and cartoonish. The kids were talked down to. They weren't sort of the main voice. And I think it just was it was interesting is everything was right timing for the Monster Squad for it to be what it became, but not for what to be a hit in '87, which is a weird recipe.
But I also think, in defense of the Monster Squad, is that the studio had no idea how to market that film. I only knew about the film because I saw the poster in the lobby, and as I recall, I might be wrong, but as I recall, they released it like in February, like the worst time of year for that type of film.
It was even worse. It was the middle of August for a kids movie that should have been somewhere near. Yeah,
August?
Middle of August, 2 weeks after The Lost Boys came out. So it was, that didn't help.
Right.
And like you said, you only saw a poster in the lobby. There wasn't a lot of marketing push out there because I don't think they knew how to market it at the time. As is evidenced in Wolfman's Got Nards, we look at some of the marketing campaigns that they used, which are fascinating and mind-blowing. But they sort of had kind of parallel and almost contradictory marketing campaigns that were very confusing. And like I said, the recipe of multiple things at that time happening, and one of them was the marketing campaign. 2 was the rating. We got a PG-13 rating, which might have been a little unfair, especially nowadays. There's no way it's almost a G movie compared to what you find on primetime now. But you had these kind of, some of the trailers were dark and vicious and scary, but at a PG-13 rating, so parents were not going to let their 9, 10, 11-year-olds see this movie. And they weren't going to go to the movie with them because they weren't interested in it. And then the cool kids that were, 14, 15, 16, it was too kid-oriented because what they saw was more some of the marketing that was campy and kid-like, which contradicted the other dark, dangerous stuff. And so the older cool kids were not going to go see it because they were going to go see The Lost Boys and not follow it up with this kids movie. And then the younger kids weren't going to. So you had a very small window of maybe eligible ticket buyers, but then their parents still had to go, and that's why it didn't last in the theaters that long. And we've been, talking about it for the last couple of months, since the release of the doc, about how unfair your 48-hour window of success or failure back in those days. That's your only barometer of success.
Yeah.
And if you don't hit a certain number that they set before anybody has eyes on your movie, if you don't hit that, then you're gone. And I think that's unfair mostly for people like Fred Decker, but also unfair for moviegoers that don't get to maybe see something that could have been cool for them. And I think that's in general there's a lot of movies that didn't do well that just suffered and had to find themselves later. But yeah, like I said, the rating, the marketing campaign, all those things are part of the recipe that made it exactly what it was for the time, but created the situation that it wasn't going to work then, but created that situation that made it what it is now. So it's a very interesting. I don't know of any other combinations like I can't think of many that have all of those facets.
Yeah, there was that time in the '80s was ripe for that recipe because you had films like Near Dark, which had no theatrical presence but is a beloved cult film. You had Waxwork, which is another beloved cult film. but the Monster Squad clearly stands heads above those films as far as being loved
Waxworks
today.
2 is way better, by the way. Waxworks 2.
Why? Because it got built with Bruce Campbell?
It's the better film. It's the better film. Don't worry about me.
No. I mean, I'm one of those weird people who loved both Waxworks movies. I have no idea why.
I love them both, but I'm telling you, Waxworks 2 is better.
To this day, I think Waxworks 1 has the best werewolf transformation scene in film history. But
Really?
John
Okay.
Reese Dave.
Well,
John
now
Reese
we're
Dave.
getting- Now we're dueling.
Here we go.
No.
Here we go.
Yes, I remember that. Yes. Amazing.
Well, plus David had Zach on his show, so
Oh, okay.
But no, I think you're right. There's a lot of other examples, but I don't want to sound biased because we're in the movie, but you can make other examples that are perfect examples of cult movies that found their audience. But there were so many things, and I only know these things because we investigated them for a year, or discovered them. Of maybe this was a thing. Or boy, someone mentioned this that we never thought of before, and it's just this amazing kind of combination of kind of bullet points that go down that only work when they're all together to create the situation we're in. And that was really one of the major discoveries that I found personally as this documentary is being made. But it's just fascinating how these fans are part of, even if they've never met each other, that can connect over something that means so much to them. And I'll circle back because, like Ryan was talking about, you're talking about the monsters and the likenesses. You have to give credit to the Stan Winston crew for. I think the best thing that ever happened to Monster Squad was that they couldn't copy the Universal Jack Pierce looks, because it made these guys reimagine. Like Ryan said, who they are. They're them. You just can't have you got to change Creature and you got to change Frankenstein a little bit. And then the reimagining of a mummy as a smaller person. And then, doing a Wolfman, but taking facets from all the good Wolfmans and Wolfmen in the past, created this thing. But it was about the skill and the artistry of how they built these practical suits and these makeup effects right at that time of the late 80s going into the, early pre-dawn of digital age, where it replaced everything. I think it was right at that right time because those suits changed the game for all of practical creature making going forward. I don't think Monster Squad itself was the only movie that did that. I'm saying at that time, that era of when people were doing, and most of them were these Stan Winston guys, and they worked on some pretty badass movies that literally flipped the paradigm on creature making, because they did Aliens, they did Predator, they did Monster Squad, and all these other things at that time.
And his masterpiece, Pumpkinhead.
Some of the comments that people are making, I mean, they're these. I'm listening to you guys talking. I'm looking at these comments. Joe's putting some of them up, but they're coming down the side of the screen too. And some of these memories, they're so specific. Like, people remember how old they were, where they went to see it, who took them. Sean Smithson, his mom took him out of school to go see it. Daniela says she was 9, and her parents thought it was going to be a lot darker than it was. And then they got it on VHS. I remember whenever there was stuff that was in that kind of gray area, I was that kid who would hop on a city bus and go downtown Pittsburgh to see movies. Or, when I was far too young to hop on a city bus unattended. I was that guy, and I was the kid who would go to places to find comic stores and all that stuff. And there was a group of us that all had that same street cred that we were talking about earlier, that came from your ability to not only find but devour all of this sort of fringe content that may or may not have been successful at the time. And you'd get copies of Fangoria magazine or copies of Heavy Metal magazine, or you'd see movies that other people didn't see. And, if you were in that gray area of the age gap that you were talking about earlier, Andre, you were like the badass kid in the right age group for Monster Squad because you saw it, and there was this camaraderie that went around, among all of us who had the balls to go seek this stuff out, I think. And I think that was a huge part for me of what defined cult films, was that it took balls for us to go find it. It wasn't something that we could go look up, download, or get our parents to get for us.
We've talked about this. I think Ryan and I have actually been on a podcast talking the same thing, where back in that day, you actually had to go on an adventure almost to go watch adventures on the screen. Like the movie theater was not in your house, or it wasn't in your pocket.
That's right.
It was, you had to go. So it was either a group trip, or you got on your bike, or you got on the bus, or you had your parents drop you off, or your cool uncle or your grandma would take you to the mall and go see a movie. And those are all part of the overall experience. And I love what George said, where people are mentioning, and we saw some of them, like they know exactly where they saw a certain movie. This just happens to be Monster Squad. I know exactly when and where I saw, other very impactful seminal movies like Megaforce. But
love Megaforce, by the way.
That's terrible. It was only because I was watching The Thing, and when the dog turned inside out, my sister made me go next door, so I had to see Megaforce. But I think that's part of that experience that burns into your experience, and as part of that thing. Now we can literally flip on and go through an interface of 1,000 movies and go, all right, just pick one.
Mm-hmm. But the adventure element, the adventure comment that you made, and we've got a couple of guys in the lobby that I'd like to bring up into this chat as well. But just before we do that, the adventure thing you were talking about, you're right. It was an adventure to go see it, and then after you saw an adventure film like that, on your trip home as a kid, that all of that was the subtext of your adventure getting home. And and it was like it really was. It was amazing. It was just a phenomenal experience to go and find that stuff and then get home safe, and then figure out what the hell you were going to tell your parents. So.
Yeah, right, because you probably weren't where you were supposed to be, or where you said you were going to be.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I never did that. Ryan did that all the time. I know, because he was much. Ryan was in the George cool group. I was never cool enough to really do bold shit.
There was nothing cool about it. It was just,
George, a 20-second story that's going to really touch on what you guys are talking about. I went to go see American Werewolf in London with my brother when I was, I was 9 or 10 when that flick came out. And when Griffin Dunn comes back, half eaten for the first time, I was like, I'm checking out. I'm out of here. I literally ran out of the theater and ran in and watched Arthur because I was too scared shitless to finish American Werewolf in London. And now that will always be with me, is the way I saw Arthur was running away from American Werewolf in London. But so many people having so many wonderful memories of seeing Monster Squad is only shows of what a tentpole movie it was and how deeply it affected them. So that's just a really cool thing when people say stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think George hit on it. Ryan set it up, and George hit on it. Was it's about the overall experience, and it really does make a difference. And I think that was probably one of those times of, I don't think if it came out in '77, I don't think we would have had the same dynamic. If it came out in '97, it would have been, Rudy would have been Freddie Prinze Jr. or somebody, and it would have not been the same movie.
Well, guys, we've got a couple of our regular Indie Brigade awesome people in the lobby, I guess. We've got two brothers of mine, Richard Grieco and Mr. Michael Mandeville, very affectionately known around here as the Professor. They've been patiently listening to us in the lobby, and I have a feeling I'd love to get them in this conversation. So if they're down there, can we bring them up, Joe?
We can.
Grieco. Professor, creative explorer, Professor Michael Mandeville.
How are you doing there, Andre, Ryan, David, Joe?
Good, Michael. How are you?
Richard, how are you, brother?
Good to see you guys. Good.
How was your holiday, Mr. Mandeville?
It was good overall, a lot of family and stuff like that. So just local, everybody in the circle, I'll say. So we're good there. But I had some little operation on my nose on the 23rd, squeezing it in at the end of the year. And it was one of those things where I was awake like 4 hours a day for about a week.
It was funny because when you first popped on the screen, I was like, I didn't know Tom Selleck was coming on the show tonight.
Yes. Gratuitous flattery will get you everywhere in this industry. So thank you for that, David. I appreciate it.
Ryan, was it something David said?
Usually is.
No, I think I saw him. He froze up for a second there. He
Does
might
he have
just
something
bounced.
against Tom Selleck? Greco, we have to take a minute and talk about the hat you're wearing because I'm just insanely jealous of this hat that you're wearing.
That is a pretty cool hat.
Can I tell people? Or
Yeah,
you should tell people. It's from Barron's, made by the same company, using the same process that made the hats for all the no-name films with Mr. Clint Eastwood, and that hat was just custom made for Mr. Greco, and I'm so just ridiculously jealous and so happy for you that you have it. It is just it's the coolest hat ever. So. Maybe you tell everybody. First of all, hello, Happy New Year, welcome back.
Happy New Year.
Michael, Happy New Year, welcome back.
Happy New Year.
Why do you have such a fabulous, fucking amazing hat?
Well, when you do it, when you're gonna do a Western, you never leave it up to the wardrobe to get a fucking cowboy hat. Because they can just buy one. So when I talk to, I'm not going to say names, but wardrobe, they go, "Oh, we'll just get you one. What's your size?" And I went, I'll handle it. So I had a couple people that were, and I kind of looked at because no one's worn that style hat from, and it's like I did it. I wore the James Dean type of coat in Rebel Run. You know what I mean? And everyone's like, "You can't do that," and I did, and it's kind of an homage to Dean and the cars and stuff. And this one was taking a big kind of thing because of Outlaw Josie Rails, one of my favorite films, and this is exact same style and everything of the hat that he wore in that movie. So.
Well,
what's that?
Oh, sorry. I thought the news that you dropped in that is that you were about to do a fucking Western.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
And I think that we're all I know personally, I'm pretty jealous of that too because
Absolutely.
I want to do a Western. So I'm super happy.
I met a couple people that would do those fast draws, and one of the guys, could shoot 2 or 3 targets in a few seconds. These guys do thousands and thousands of draws, and so he was training people how to do it for Westerns. And he had a hat kind of like that, but not quite as cool. So I want you to know that, Richard. It was you're in the vibe.
I was so excited. Look at their hats run. In the thousands, and I'll tell you, they came, and I told them what my budget was and our budget, and they deal with Westworld. They deal with all the Clint's movies, and they deal with all the Silverados, all the those movies. They dealt with shit. And so
they made
it was
Stan Laurel's hat.
Stan Laurel's hat. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's totally cool.
Yeah. And now they've made Richard Grieco's hat.
But how great they were so gracious and only charged me a certain amount. And just for we'll be happy to do it for you. And we're a fan or whatever. And so I was like just so excited and lucky as shit. I can't wait to go on fucking set and show them, look, this is what a fucking hat should look
like. You start shooting on Monday, yeah?
Monday, yeah.
Yeah, and we're super excited because I kind of told everybody what you said, which is that you're going to do some cool shit from set for us for the Indie Brigade. So
oh, yeah. It'll be
we're
fun.
all very excited.
It'll be fun.
We've been talking tonight, guys. We've been talking tonight with Andre Gower and Ryan Lambert. Myself, David Madison, and Joe Risley have been speaking with these gentlemen about the Monster Squad, a film that they were both in, and a documentary called Wolfmans Got Nards. And we've been talking a lot about the nostalgia of films. I was mistaken about the year that Monster Squad came out. It came out in '87, and there's a certain nostalgia that, you know, and a certain set of, maybe a perfect storm of ingredients that have classified Monster Squad as a cult film over time, and one of the biggest pieces of street cred to a bunch of horror geeks, like all of us when we were kids growing up, that has carried over with such powerful memories. People remember where they were when they saw Monster Squad, who took them, what was happening, you know. And it's interesting because Andre brought up the good point that you know, that his perception of a cult film, he believes, is that it's different for everybody, and I agree with that. But you know, it's interesting because the term cult film doesn't certainly imply that. And you know, I'm wondering, you know, what you guys' take is on that. Maybe start with Michael. And you know, what's a cult film to you, Michael? As somebody who's been in this business at the level that you have worked in this business and continue to work in this business, what's a cult film to you?
Well, you know, I think a little bit of the definition has shifted, and I think I agree that it's a bit individualistic to some degree. But I think that in essence, you have such a dedicated audience that know the film so well inside and out. And it's a bit more than a fan, which I always think is a bit broad. And yeah, I'm a fan of that movie or this movie. But I think a cult film is, I would call it a hyper dedicated fan in that sense. And it's kind of like there's certain films that I think might become cult that, like, to me are like World War II films, but because of the longevity attached to these films being much older films, that you know them or you don't, and God knows, maybe in the last 15 years, my son knows these World War II films because I said, well, you could either watch it or shut up. So, you know, this is what you're going to do. And so he and I would watch The Dirty Dozen or The Great Escape, or, you know, Where Eagles Dare, or,
Yeah.
or what's the one, is Paris Burning, or The Train with Burt Lancaster. And so you start to watch these kind of films, and I could reel off entire scenes over a period of time. And so I think it's that hyper dedicated fan, and unique to Monster Squad, I tend to think is what's interesting, because of the horror genre, that's an even more intense fan base, because you could put in, you know, a film that's pretty poorly made in a lot of ways, but it's got some of the most cool, authentic elements that resonate with a dedicated fan. And I think Andre hit on a number of those, and so did Ryan, where the expectations are totally fulfilled for that fan. And I really think it comes down to authenticity, that you really have a vision, not a committee of idiots just saying, take this thing out of the movie, you know, this won't go to the quadrant or any of this bullshit. I think it's really about somebody who says, I got a vision. And so that's, to me, kind of the sense of a cult film. And I think it's a little, you know, it sways with the genre and the instance and individual a little.
Interesting answer. Richard, what's a cult film to you? What is the definition of cult films to you?
It's funny because a lot of cult films didn't do well at the box office. They became bigger like 5, 10, 15 years down the road. It's almost linear to like movie stars that were gone too soon. You know, they become cult figures that you want more of it. Like Monster Squad, I saw it in theaters, but it wasn't out long. And I went through that with If Looks Could Kill, you know. So I think it's the same kind of scenario when something's out, and then it's funny when it has traction because it was really good and it had certain things and elements in it that were like so different for the time. And like what he said, if it was in '97 came out, I don't know if it'd have the same kind of impact it would now. Or imagine doing it like now. Imagine doing it like 2020. It would just be, you just couldn't do it. So it's funny how it's caught in a time capsule. It's been carried over, and like people can now open it that were fans of it back then and kind of give to the people that didn't know about it back then, and that makes it kind of like a almost like a new film again. And that's where the autobiography thing comes out, or the biography or documentary comes out, and it's an interesting kind of pathos of how that interjects between the two, between cult and a monster hit. Because a lot of monster hit movies you don't remember. But you can remember scenes from Monster Squad. You can remember scenes from other movies, like Near Dark and some other movies you're talking about. Yet, maybe they didn't make, $180 million at the box office. So that's the interesting conundrum there that pivots from being a movie and a cult movie, I think.
It's funny you should say that, Richard.
What's that?
It's funny you should say that, Richard, because Endgame, which came out, I guess, just last year, is one of the biggest box office hits of all time, if not the biggest box office hit of all time. I really can't focus on any part of that film that touched me in any kind of way that I remember it. It kind of, all of those MCU movies kind of blend into each other. There's those enormous kind of circus films. A theme park film, like Martin Scorsese said, they're wonderful and they're made with the sole purpose of entertaining the masses, but they never really ever touch anybody on any kind of real level.
I would agree with that. I definitely don't get any kind of emotional sustenance or identification with them. And there's just something removed when they try and take these like superheroes and give them these carefully attributed flaws with some kind of, I don't know, plan to evoke emotional connectivity, but it just doesn't work for me. And it's just really kind of fascinating because I think that whole universe just, I've seen a few of them, maybe 4 or something like that. But I prefer something else that's a little more, that has real touchstones, authentic touchstones, not a heavily glossy manufactured production pipeline. And that's what I get out of there.
The problem with that is, and I agree with you for sure, is that they're not, I mean, yes, we were children when, comics and before they made all these films and and we saw that stuff. Those films are kind of made for kids now. They're for children. Yeah. Everyone's screaming about Wonder Woman online. I'm like, you're 45-year-old single male living in your mom's basement screaming about Wonder Woman. Like, they literally didn't make that movie for you. Like, that wasn't for you. Like, that was for little girls, for like girl power and like, so it's hard for us to say things like, will those things become cult films? We don't know. Star Wars was the biggest thing in the world when I was 6 years old. I mean, it was a phenomenon, obviously. And, maybe when those kids grow up and they're like in their 30s, 40s, they're like, remember Endgame? Oh my God. Like, that was the biggest thing ever. They loved it. They had all the toys and they had all the things. And now the DC universe is over, 40 years from now, whatever. We don't know. So that's what I think I said that earlier about time will tell what makes something sort of cult-ish in a way. I know that that's like the biggest thing in the world and it made like $1 trillion and it doesn't like, compare to the Monster Squad or something like that. But at the same time, it's like whatever like the feeling is in your heart when you're a child and then you grow up and remember things. I think that's kind of what makes something kind of culty anyway, at least to yourself. No matter how big box office success it was, I still have like memories of my, like, Star Wars is a whole nother animal now. But like when I was a kid, there was a period after Return of the Jedi, maybe 3 or 4 years after Jedi, it was kind of over. And like then like maybe 20 years down the road, we would say, hey, remember that toy from Star Wars? Even though it was like the biggest thing ever, it was still like this, it was still a secret club. If you had like the Greedo that you got in the mail that like had the different pants on than the one they put out in the stores or something. There's all these weird little parallels things with those kind of stuff. So,
well, I think Ryan hit on something interesting about a cult is that it's kind of like whatever subject you want to undertake, woodworking, let's say for Cameron, or painting with Richard, and etc. And when you start talking about the subject, right away if somebody really knows what they're talking about or not, or they're trying to fake their way into the tribe. And for me, World War II movies, you want to talk about the T-34 versus the Panther versus the Sherman. Let's go, and but it's that interesting qualifier that do you really know your shit because you put in the time. And like what Ryan was saying about the toys, that becomes part of the cult. A membership fee is the knowledge base and the enthusiasm. And I think that's definitely one of the thresholds for ascribing a cult or a classic kind of cult movie. I'm sorry, David,
cred.
what were you trying to say?
It's the street cred.
Yeah, I think in 1931, when Frankenstein and Dracula, the original Universal Pictures, came out, no one intended for those pictures to be the films that we would be talking about in 2021. They were probably thinking about other films that were made in 1931 that would have more substance to them.
Yeah.
But I would believe that 40 years from now, like Andre brought up earlier, the people would probably still be more enamored with films like The Monster Squad because their dads passed it on to kids. And things like Endgame are just going to kind of disappear, like the big films of those generations did. And the iconic films are still around.
Yeah, I won't disagree. I think that just because I've had about 7, podcast fun times in the last couple of weeks where they've said the exact same thing. So it's I kind of stay out of the kind of conversation where they say Monster Squad by itself, or either films like Monster Squad that kind of either have, like George said, the same authenticity or the heart in the story or the characters. I think it's the archetypes, the situations, all the combinations of that's in the story, including the family, the group of kids that bond together, because we're all getting middle-aged dudes in America here, and we all remember the fun times we had in the backyard or the field or the woods with our friends, and that's what make you who you are. That never leaves your DNA. And I think movies like that last, whether it's Monster Squad or something other, that will transcend decades. And like Endgame, they brought up the same thing. They were bringing up Civil War, they bring up Endgame. They're like, they're great, made $1 bazillion that summer, and no one's going to be downloading Endgame in 40 years because there's no reason to. But we will download, Casablanca or Force 10 from Navarone.
Oh yeah, there you go.
You're my guy. You hit on my stuff, Michael.
All right, there we go.
I bring up for different stuff, either World War II or that time, not just classic movies, but what was going on. But yeah, I don't think the current, comic book movies that are huge and splashy, have that longevity. What I wish would happen with comic book movies is they would stay true to sort of kind of comic book characters where they're very deep and very archetypal and very impactful as individuals that always have a struggle or an issue or whatever. Some of them are kind of, they're kind of rubber stamped out. But if you did, they tried to do that with the Batman, all the Batman movies, which is, the darkest individual of cool heroes. And they do an okay job, but I'm with you on the kind of super splashy. They're wonderful to see, and look at all the toys we get to bring to bear to make Iron Man fly through the air and blow up Thanos, and they're fun for about the 3 hours that you watch it.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that we could have an entire conversation about this, but
move on.
we're coming to the end here, so I want to take a minute and I want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight. This is a big moment for us tonight. It is the season premiere of our 6th season doing this. And it's just an honor to have both of you guys join us and be part of the Indie Brigade. Michael, Richard, I'm so proud and happy that you guys are here and part of the Indie Brigade.
Oh, absolutely.
And I love you guys. And Andre, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure and an honor to speak with you tonight. I'm hoping that you will consider yourself welcomed into the Brigade and that you'll come back often. So,
oh man, this is rad. Just hit me up. This was fun. Like you said, I think all of us can sit around and break our jaws talking about stuff that, I mean, I think some people care about, but don't get me started on Forced In from Down the Road now.
Well, that was my jam. I watched all those movies with my uncle.
I got to say one thing. I know Andre's thinking of Barbara Bach in the bathtub in Forced 10 Navarone.
I'm not thinking of anything, Michael.
Ryan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's a pleasure to know you. Please come back. Let's continue these conversations. This is what the Indie Brigade is about, and these are the kind of conversations that everybody in the Indie Brigade loves to be a part of. I mean, I often say that a lot of the stuff that a lot of us in the industry have learned it just came from sitting at tables listening to people like us talk. And now we're people that there's a whole bunch of folks that love to sit and listen to us talk about this type of stuff. So I really do hope that you guys will come back, often and continue these conversations with us. Michael, Richard, see you next Friday. And
you got it.
David, I love you, brother. Thank you for being part of everything. Joe, I love you. And
I love you as well. But before we go, I got to put Andre and I got to put Ryan on the spot. Well, okay, bye, Richard. See ya.
The Irish goodbye.
There it is.
Where can folks find you on social media, and where can they find Wolfmans, Nards, and?
Well, you can find me personally on Instagram at Andre Gower Official and on Twitter at Andre Gower. Please follow me, and you can link to stuff to Wolfman's Got Nards. But the documentary's got its own handles, which is at the Squad Doc. That's with 2 D's in the middle, at the Squad Doc on both Twitter and Instagram, and it has a YouTube page with some fun videos and the trailer and link to the website. Please follow. If you're in US and Canada, that's where it's released now on your VOD platform of choice. You can also order the Blu-ray, via Amazon.com or a couple of the retailers. People are really liking the Blu-ray. I think that's doing better than we anticipated. But physical media, people love it. So, and for your international listeners, if you have anybody overseas right now, we are currently working on the international release. So just hang in there, and it won't be too much longer.
Awesome.
That is awesome. I greatly appreciate that, and we will hopefully see you next time.
Andre, do you have a Facebook page?
I do have a Facebook page, but my Facebook page I'm rarely on, and I don't know why, but I slugged that for people I'm related to and went to sixth grade. But I'm on Facebook every once in a while. So what can I connect with on Facebook for you?
It's the only social media I'm on, so I was going to send you.
I'll connect with you on that. That's totally fine. But I'm related to you now anyway.
There you go.
You mentioned where Eagles dare. I mean, come on. It's
you see, I get shot down immediately with these guys. It's like, boom, Joe Ridgely, who the fuck?
It's funny, Joe, back when you were on the top and Ryan was in the middle and Greco was on the bottom, it was clearly the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, we could change that around a little again. Ryan, we're going to put you on the spot now, buddy. Where can people find you on social media? What are you working on? What do you want to promote?
Instagram is fine. Ryan Lambert 111. That's pretty much it as far as social media goes. I also am about to put out another record with my band. I'm in LA now, but I lived in San Francisco for 15 years, and my 2 bands there. The new album should be out next couple months, maybe 3 months. The band's called Kill Moi, so you can just do social media. You can find me on Instagram. I'll promote the shit out of that at some point, and you'll find that. Other than that, I'm just kind of sitting on my couch watching films, and trying to stay safe.
Awesome.
Hey, that's
Everybody here
a
will try
sweet
to-
amp back there, dude. Is that an orange?
This one, yeah, it's the little orange practice amp that Andre bought me for Hanukkah. And on top of my actual
Fender.
Is that a
16
ukulele?
Fender Bassman. What?
Is that a ukulele?
Yeah, I just got it. It's my new.
Is that a watermelon ukulele?
That's great.
It's not tuned.
that
I
is-
would play. I also have. I'm left-handed, so I haven't tuned in left-handed yet. But it'll be soon. We'll use that soon.
Excellent.
That is awesome. And I'm just going to go through Greco and Mandeville real fast. Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Got to go with the guy with the expensive hat. I'm sorry, Mike.
Okay.
Greco, tell us a little bit about what you got coming up, what you're going to work on. I know that you said that you were going to do an appearance next Friday from set, and maybe send some videos and stuff to us to put out to the brigade. But why don't you? What can you tell people about the project that you're going to go do?
It's called Night of the Tommy Knockers. It's with the Mahal brothers. Me, Robert Sardo, I think, and Tom Sizemore, Jessica Morris, and it's basically a sci-fi western. Not like Cowboys and Aliens. It's more exposed to like creatures and stuff like that. But
Thank God.
it's a fun ride, and it's authentic western stuff with the kind of monster zombie / creature thing to it. So it's actually a really good script. I was really pleasantly surprised and pleased with it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, we've talked a lot about it, and I'm excited for you. So, and I know everybody here is excited to see you from set and stuff. And Michael,
It'll be
you've
fun.
got the creative explorer coming to the Indie Brigade.
Indeed, I do. In fact, I've got my first interview done. It was with one of the actors in my series here called Beer Pong Coach. And so we had a lot of fun doing that. And I'm going to interview more people, bring it there, and how the series was made. I have 10 episodes, 12, 14 minutes kind of thing. And that's one thing I want to elucidate with people is how to construct their own series and think like a big picture, let's say line producer UPM, so it's all organized. So my film Into the Flames sold at the AFM and went up on Amazon last month. And I've got a couple things in either Australia or Morocco that seem to have things more under control with the present environment for some projects to shoot, direct. So
Awesome.
got some things cooking there, and just enough to stay out of jail, as my dad used to say.
Well, thank you guys all for being here tonight for this amazing season 6 premiere. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
And I'm going to start dropping you guys out. Again, thank you. And, the guys who denied me a friend request, hit me up. Good night.
Good night.
Wow.
Night, guys. That was actually busting balls, by the way. But all right, it's you and I.
Great show.
Awesome show.
Yeah, well done.
Whew. Haven't had that much fun in a while.
Yeah. Well, everybody, are you ready, by the way?
Am I ready? I'm always ready.
Everybody, thank you so much for sticking with us for 6 seasons. I mean, it's amazing. I can't thank you all enough. From the bottom of my heart, I love absolutely every one of you. And I thank you so much for being with us, for sticking with us, for spending your Friday nights with us, for letting us help you get through the COVID, getting through the quarantine. Hopefully we've helped you stay sane. I know you all have helped me stay sane. So thank you so much for everything. Thank you, David, who's no longer on the screen. Thank you, Joe, for everything. Thank you, everybody in the Indie Brigade, Lance, Sam. Thank you, Gunny. Thank you to Terry. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you to my beautiful wife, Rebecca. Thank you to everybody from the bottom of my heart. If I didn't name you, it's not personal. It's just there's literally too many. So Thank you, everybody. And as usual, and as always, fuck off till next time. To be an indie means we buck a system that doesn't want us. To be a fringe filmmaker means we don't do it for them. We do it for ourselves. To be an outlaw on the fringe means we'll die before we fail. Be an outlaw.
Hello, everybody.
What an entrance!
I was excited. First of all, I want to thank George and you, Joe, for letting me be a part of your show tonight. I am, as you could tell, a big-time geek fanboy when it comes to the Monster Squad. And I'm blessed to know a lot of the people from the movies that I known and loved growing up, but I really had no connection with anybody from the Monster Squad, and you made my night by introducing me to those two gentlemen. That was awesome.
Sweet. Our pleasure.
No,
It was fun.
Yeah, it was. Those guys. It was a fun. Well, it's just fun every week. That's why we do this, because we're just a bunch of fun guys. Why are you playing with your lights, Joe?
Well, no, I'm actually changing screens because I had to see what you messaged in the other one.
Oh yeah, okay. Don't tell anybody my secret message. Mwah!
Damn it, Orphan Annie.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to season. Is this season 6?
It's season 6 for RPIB. I think
think
you
it's
might be
season 4?
4. Sounds about right.
5 or 4. Season whatever the hell it is for the end of the night. And the last time we saw you guys, hello, Jeff. I hope you are well. And congratulations, my friend. I heard you had a life-changing event. And give my love to the new missus. We had the last time we seen everybody, we had our great Christmas gathering and our great Christmas get-together. Joe, how was your Christmas? I know. Did you go through all the stuff with George originally? Am I just rehashing, open Christmas wounds, or is everything good?
No, actually, my Christmas was great. Thank you for asking. It was time well spent with the family in a safe manner, and how was yours?
It was great, and I'm glad you asked, because, as you know, I pretty much throw up alley-oops to set up everything I do on this stupid train wreck of a show.
I never would have thought.
You never would have thought. So I want to share with you, Joe, and with everybody out there. Everybody knows from time to time I do little segments about either films that you need to watch, or sometimes I do segments about movie equipment, or sometimes I do segments about my favorite things ever, toys. So I want to share with you, Joe, some of in honor especially of our guests earlier tonight, the great guys from the Monster Squad. I want to share some toys that Santa brought me this year. I guess Santa loves me. How cool is this? It is a Universal Frankenstein, licensed by Universal Pictures, and Universal Monsters. Wait, where's the button? I'm old and senile. Okay, now check this out, Joe. This is this is classic. Okay.
Don't you forget, I gave you life. I gave you life.
Huh?
Oh, okay, well, just adjust it right there. I think it's going to work. I think it will. Oh, it's shocking.
Who doesn't want one of these?
But I have a question.
Hey, Sean, I hope you're well. Yeah.
So, how come Frankenstein's monster sounds like Dr. Frankenstein?
No. Dr. Frankenstein's talking, and then if you listen at the end, Frankenstein's mouth moves when he just goes like, ah!
Okay.
It's
What?
alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Ah!
Okay.
He doesn't say a hell of a lot. He just pretty much goes, ah! All right. That's one cool toy. Then, how cool is this? It's a mirror that, can you see? I don't know. It's a mirror, right? And when you put it on,
Don't you forget, I gave you life.
can you see that?
I gave you life.
Yes. You can see Frankenstein's monster in it.
Yes. And, okay, shut up now.
It's alive.
It's alive! All right. And
But wait,
also-
there's more.
But wait, there's more. These are the toys that I have especially fun with. How cool is this? A Dr. I could care less about the Laurie Strode, but a Dr. Loomis action figure. How cool is that? It comes, oddly enough, with his signature 357 Magnum, and oddly enough, with a hand holding a lighter. How
So how
funny
many
is that?
times did he shoot him?
I think it was 6 times, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I shot him 6 times. Shot him 6 times.
I actually like the jack-o'-lantern in there also. That
Oh,
was
you got a little jack-o'-lantern action in there. Ooh, spooky. But you know what? It's the Laurie Strode, I think, is just kind of weak. Doesn't look
Generic?
anything like. Yeah, it doesn't look anything like Jamie Lee Curtis.
like
I
they
mean,
didn't get the rights.
I have no idea. It's just like, hey, let's just throw a Barbie head on it. But like the Sam Loomis kicks ass, man. The Donald Pleasance, wow, awesome. What the hell do I know?
Oh well, wait a minute. So, but Halloween 2 never happened,
Oh, that's
according
right.
to the new.
Yeah. I like to think that Halloween 2018 never happened, and Halloween 2 did. But what the hell do I know?
Oh, were you expecting an argument? I'm sorry.
No, I was expecting an answer. Come on.
Oh, okay. I kid.
I really don't know a hell of a lot, to be honest with you. Let's see. Fair play, David. Yes. Lance, I hope you're well. Sean, I hope you're well. Jeff, I hope you're well. It looks like Francis McDormand. That's actually yeah, I would say that it looks like Francis McDormand. That's a good guess. So, Joe, what did you do for New Year's Eve?
I watched some of the ridiculous countdowns on TV. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to be insultive. I just thought it's obviously not like New Year's Eve of the past. And
you know, it's funny.
You?
I watched Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve for like the 45th consecutive year that I've watched it. I'm actually old enough to have watched that when Dick Clark was still alive and young.
so,
And not-
well,
yeah.
he wasn't young. I remember watching it as well.
Yeah. The last
Like
couple
when
of
he
years,
had
they just
the,
he had a stroke. It was sad. They carted
Oh,
him
yeah.
out the last couple of years like the Crypt Keeper. You know, it was like, yeah.
I think I started watching it when he had that TV show, Bloopers and Practical Jokes.
Oh yes, a big Ed McMahon.
Showing
All right.
my age.
So tonight, Joe, we have just a wonderful, wonderful show planned for everybody. A little later on, we are going to have our co-host and just beloved Uncle Scott will be on later on. And our guest tonight is probably in one of the most iconic independent comedies of all time. It's really, I mean, it's a film that transcends just like you know the Monster Squad does, and she plays the character Veronica in this cult classic, a little film called Clerks. Miss Marilyn Gigliotti will be joining us in just a few minutes, so that's going to be exciting. Is she in the green room by any chance? Should
Well,
we-
yeah, you confused the hell out of me and her by saying a few minutes.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
looking at her face
All
going,
right.
what do you mean a few minutes?
Okay. No, all right. Relax. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very talented actress, an incredibly sweet and kind human being, and a dear friend of mine, Miss Marilyn Gigliotti.
Hi, guys.
Hello, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you guys?
I'm doing well.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you very much. Joe, do you have anything to say? She asked you how you're doing. You know, be a
Yeah,
gentleman.
I'm starstruck again. I'm sorry. I let my heart slow down a little, get the blood pressure down, and I'll be more than happy to answer.
Okay.
Yeah, the last time you interviewed me, Joe, how long ago was that?
Approximately 2 years ago.
Oh, was it only 2 years ago?
A year and a half, 2 years ago.
Oh gosh, okay. And it was like time flies and it doesn't.
It's that whole COVID thing and staying home.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, Marilyn, I have to say you are as beautiful as ever and as
Thank you.
charming as ever.
Thank you very much.
And I promise this interview won't hurt a bit.
I'm used to it. It's okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you because I actually know you for almost 10 years now. And and these are some questions that I personally don't know. Tell us a little bit about your background in acting before you got the part in Clerks.
Wow. So I started taking acting lessons in Red Bank, New Jersey, place called ATI, Actors Training Institute. And I got like all around training there from someone who trained over at the Actors Studio in New York, John Ide. And so, I mean, he gave us Adler, Stanislavski, method. So we kind of got a well-rounded training ground. But even with all that, it's like I studied for, I would say, 2 years before I felt comfortable to even kind of, all right, let's take it out there and see if we can do something with it. And I started in the community theater circuit, in the same circuit as Brian.
Brian who? I don't know anybody.
Brian O'Halloran.
Oh, Brian O'Halloran. Yes. There he is, that hideous mook.
With his long hair there then.
Yes.
Hey, Scott Meany. But yeah, I mean, even doing that circuit, it's like, even though it was 2 years that, you know, it was taking the lessons and then I went into the circuit, but I kind of had to make myself known in the circuit and just keep showing up at the auditions just so that it's like, all right, she wants it. So let's give her a chance now. And then was able to do quite a few shows, even with Brian as well. We did 2 theater shows together, although one may have been before Clerks and another one may have been after Clerks. Mm-hmm. I can't remember. And so through that circuit, though, is how I found out about the auditions for Clerks at the First Avenue Playhouse, where I had done theater.
And it's funny because a lot of people don't know that most people start their acting chops in either regional theater or in high school or college theater. And you say that you worked with Brian back then. Just to bring him up for a moment, I've seen him just recently, not recently, like within the last couple of years. He did a stage version of A Few Good Men. And you realize how, like, what a wonderful actor he is, and how he got his chops, and it transcends. You guys trained together, and you could tell because you're both exceptionally talented.
Thank you.
When you first auditioned for Clerks, I assume it was a guerrilla kind of film. It was a film that nobody had any idea going into it of the cultural and the enormous impact it would have, you know, on the entire generation at that time. Tell us a little bit about how the audition process went and how you felt when you ultimately landed the role.
Well, we had to do an audition, a monologue. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. And so I just grabbed my audition out of a monologue book. And when I got to the theater, I mean, I just remember bits and pieces out of the whole thing and the process going there. The one thing that kind of stuck out for me is like how many people there were there, but how many of those people were not auditioning. So, you know, it was a little, I don't know. I don't want to say intimidating exactly, but just, you know, it's like, oh, we've got all these people here just kind of watching to see what's kind of going on, but so it's like we have an audience already. And I just remember going up on the stage and doing my audition and getting off the stage and not really feeling all that great about it, to be honest. Because I once I got off, and yes, we're our own worst critics, but I'd like to think that I'm at least grounded enough and to realize, when I've done a good job and when I haven't. I didn't suck, but it wasn't my best. I just felt like it was a little bit forced. So to eventually have Kevin call me up and ask me if I, would like to come down to the convenience store and talk with him, and then let him, let me know that it's like, I've got the part if I want it. Here's the script, take a read, let me know if you feel comfortable with certain things. And so, yeah, I took it home with me. I was reading it at work, in between clients on a slow day, and working at the salon. I found myself laughing. So I was like, I was on board immediately. When they had the callbacks for the other characters, and I saw Brian come in, I was really excited, because it's like if he gets the role, then I'm actually going to be working with somebody else who I actually know already, and not with all strangers.
Wow! So you shoot Clerks, and I assume that shooting the film was fun.
It was. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And the movie's in the can. How long after you guys wrapped did it start to occur to you that you guys had made something that was so culturally impactful, and that you guys had made something that was touching so many people?
It wasn't for a while. And I'm trying to think, gosh, because it's been so dang long. Because yes, we all went to the New York Film Festival, and the IFFM, and that in itself was exciting, to be there, even though it was only those of us who were in the cast and crew that were basically there to watch it, except for one or two other people that we weren't really aware of at that time, one of them being Bob Hawke, who just created the buzz that was needed so that it got into Sundance. Once we were at Sundance, and the buzz that was just being created, it's like, and we were doing little news clips here and there, and interviews, and just then all of a sudden Harvey Weinstein's coming to see the film and talk to Kevin about possibly buying it, and it's like that's when I think things kind of started for us. And wondering, it's like, all right, where is this going to lead? What's going to happen from here? And but you don't know until it's actually happening.
Tell me a little bit about how it felt from, you said you worked in a salon when you were younger, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you were shooting Clerks?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how it felt from being someone who worked in a salon and to being somebody who was, readily recognized by people when you walked in the mall, or if you went to Pizza Hut, or whatever you did.
Odd. By the way, still work at a salon. Although not these days, because we're on stay-at-home and lockdown orders. But it was a strange kind of experience, especially once I moved out to California, and I'd go places. And I'm talking, this is like at least 4 years after Clerks now. And I just kind of walk around, and people just sometimes just staring at me, and I'm just wondering, what the hell is, looking around. It's like, it's something showing that shouldn't be showing. And one day I was at the Beverly Hills Mall with a friend of mine. And so at least at this point, it's happening when I'm with somebody now. It's like, okay, good. So I said, it's like, is there something, because it's like people keep staring at me sometimes, you know, it's like, it doesn't matter where I go and people just staring at me. And she's like, Marilyn, maybe they're recognizing you. I was like, oh, it didn't fathom to me, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well,
and then
because you're a grounded person.
Thank you. And I hope to stay that way. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously it's like I'm a little bit more used to it now and all, but it's still kind of an odd thing, you know?
Let me ask you, what do you think what was it about Clerks that you think touched so many people and made it such an iconic and important film?
It's the fact that pretty much everybody and anybody can find themselves as a character in the film. It's relatable. It's timeless. It's, you know, it's basically what anybody who works in the service business experiences every day and will for the rest of, you know, eternity, I think, you know. So I that's why.
After shooting Clerks, did you find that being in a big hit film, did you find that open any doors for you?
No.
Isn't that strange?
You know, I don't know. It's hard to say. And the thing is too, it's like I tend to wonder, because I didn't move out here until 97 to LA, and Clerks was released in 94. So the one thing I tend to wonder is, may something have happened had I moved out here at that point? But there was just no moving out here at that point. And to be honest, it's not like I even thought about moving out here ever. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I did eventually find my way out here, that was surprising in and of itself. It might have gotten me seen a little bit more, you know. No, actually, I can't say that, because it's not like I had a lot of auditions when I was back east, still living out there. Maybe a little bit out here. And I did casting director workshops, so they at least knew me and knew who I was when I went to the casting director workshops. And for those that don't know what that is, basically it's like, there are these businesses that will bring in casting directors, and for a fee, you kind of either join the group, the workshop company, or you just pay for the workshop itself. And it's essentially kind of doing auditions. Now, one thing is that they called it pay to play. So that was kind of the thing that eventually kind of got a little bit banned, because they didn't want to be, it's like, you know, they're calling it pay to audition. And so that was kind of a bad connotation to that. So they wanted to essentially know that they're giving classes, not auditioning. But I mean, sometimes the act of auditioning in itself is a class. It's to know what to do just to get into an audition once you do have one, and what you should be doing or not doing for those auditions. I'm a terrible auditioner. I really am. I'm much better once I have the part and I'm on set.
You know, it's funny that you should say that, because it's such an odd business, because you watch like these shows or these interviews with these enormous movie stars, insert name, you know, Robert De Niro, George Clooney, Meryl Streep, and they talk about how like later in their careers, like, yes, I went in and I auditioned for this role, and I say to myself, you know, you're Robert De Niro and you need to go in and audition. I mean, if the film producers or directors don't know what they're getting with Robert De Niro at this point, what's the point of casting people like that? And it blows my mind. I mean, I have dear friends who are enormously like talented, who have resumes 5 miles long, and they're like, "Hey, I auditioned for this, and I can't wait to see if I get it." And I'm like, "Really?" Like, it just is. It's just bizarre, and I don't understand why that is.
I do. Sometimes I don't, but for the most part, I do. And that's because, as great as an actor as someone can be, it's like sometimes their persona can be so iconic that it's like, I got to see if they actually fit this role,
right?
The way that I see it. So, I mean, that's just my perception anyway.
No, I mean, I guess that's totally, that's I never really occurred to me, that thought, and that's probably true. But you would think that, like, when you get to be Tom Hanks, you don't have to go and have to do this kind of stuff. And I find it,
and it's not like they all have to audition. And I honestly, I don't know that Tom Hanks has to audition at this point. But there are some of the greats like that. From even before Tom Hanks' time, right. That I think are at a certain point do have to kind of audition again, and prove themselves maybe. And then maybe they don't anymore. Okay, here's a good example. Oh my gosh, John Travolta. Because at a certain point, his career was going down. And he had to start auditioning again. But then, once things kind of started going up again, it's like he didn't have to audition anymore. So it's like, I think give it take, whatever.
No, I hear. Because like recent guests on my show, like Tim Busfield. Tim Busfield's been in everything. I mean, literally everything. And he's telling me about how he has to audition. And I just think it's bizarre. It's like if Tim Busfield is coming to you for a role, and if you don't know who Tim Busfield is, then you shouldn't be a casting director, or Bill Sadler. I mean, these guys are like in Shawshank Redemption and Field of Dreams and enormous.
I'm such a face person.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying you. When I say you, I know. You, like the general you.
Yeah, no, I got what you were saying. I totally got what you're saying. But I'm such a face person. There are certain names that definitely know who they are. But others, I'm like, sorry.
No, I mean, this is, I guess, just my psychosis, which is vast. I always wanted to thank you because you were very kind to me last year, and came over and wished me a happy birthday. It was very, very sweet.
Oh, when I came to visit?
Yes, that was incredibly kind, and I'll never forget.
Thank you.
It was kind of like I was pushing 50. I was kind of like home and sad, and then all of a sudden, you and Brian and a bunch of people knocked on the front door. Diana, yeah, and I think the other gentleman was Jack, right? Maybe Jack.
Yes.
Yeah. Came and sang happy birthday to me, and it really, really made me smile. That was super awesome.
And let me tell you, I was going on I think it was like 32 hours of being awake because of my traveling. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you were in, if I'm not mistaken, for the reading of the Clerks 3 play that you guys did.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how that came together.
Oh my God, that was so amazing. It came by, like a short notice. And I mean, it's not like I knew whether I'd be involved in the reading or anything like that when I made the travel arrangements, but I knew I missed so many things that happened on the East Coast, View Askew related. So I'm like, I had to try to make at least that. And not gonna lie, put my face in front of Kevin, but thankfully, I was able to be part of the reading itself. But unbeknownst to even Brian, because he had what he thought was the latest script. And I think he said it was, he had script number 4. And what we read, tongue twister. What we read was script number 6, I believe. So when we're getting the scripts and it's like, all right, we'll highlight our areas so that we know what we have to read, once we're up on there and stuff like that. And I'm going through there and I'm like, where's Veronica? So yeah, Veronica was written out at that point.
Oh.
But thankfully,
you were part of the reading, right? You wrote another
yes,
part? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I was reading the part that would have gone to. Oh my gosh! Now, I'm not going to remember her name. It's comedian.
Sarah
female,
Silverman.
Yes, Sarah Silverman.
Yeah.
I believe the role was written for her. So I don't know whether it was actually ever given to her or anything like that. But it was the role of playing Randall's girlfriend.
Oh, sweet.
So, yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun and very heavy script. It was taped. I don't know if I'll ever see the light of day, but I mean, we had nice 2 days and both days, I mean, totally different readings. And by totally different, I mean, it just like theater, it will be different every single night. I mean, the emotions and everything like that, they're all the same, but it's still different vibe, different audience and all that kind of stuff gives you a different feel. So it was nice though. Both nice, but just incredible.
That's awesome. Now, if you bear with me for a minute, I'm going to call for my producer, Mr. Ridgely. Are you around?
I am, and I was just looking up, and there's a method to my madness, so bear with me. Technical defects. The last 5 or 6 shows, John Cassier, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, William Catt, Greatest American Hero, Chris Bain, shooting Clerks, then George C. Romero, and then Marilyn Ghigliotti.
Wow, look at that.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Those were his list of guests.
Those are my guests on my old show. So it was apparently 3 years ago.
Okay.
Was I on after those? Was I on before those guys?
You were on after.
Okay.
So yeah, John Cassier, William Catt, Chris Bain from Shooting Clerks, George C. Romero, and then Marilyn. So Marilyn, that's what I wanted to bring up. And Dave, I don't know if you were segueing into it at all. Shooting Clerks, what's going on with that?
Well, we have a picture. It's the last one I sent you. I think Marilyn's on the phone. Am I correct?
Would that be this one?
Now, this is from Shooting Clerks, correct?
It is, yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about Shooting Clerks and about how you got involved with Shooting Clerks.
So, Shooting Clerks is a biopic about Kevin's story, essentially, of how he came about making Clerks. And I was contacted by Christopher Downey, who is a Scottish
Uppy Downey.
Yes. And he contacted me and we had a conversation telling me how he was putting this together. And we talked for quite a while. It's like me giving my backstory as much as I could remember back then. And probably I remembered a little bit more then than I do now. But we would come back and forth as well about certain different little stories here and there. It's while he was putting the script together for this. I think it took, I don't know, maybe a couple years before he actually, from inception of contacting me and then having the script and starting to shoot. And initially he wanted Scott and myself to fly out to Scotland to play Kevin's mom and dad, which was would have been great. And we're thinking it's whoa, we get to go to Scotland and all that kind of stuff. But the issue is, or was, and well, still is, I'm in the union. Scott isn't. Now, because I was am in the union, there are certain criteria that have to be in place for me to be able to do a film. whether it be in the States or not. And so it was, and even if I wasn't in the union, though, it would have been too cost prohibitive for me for flying both Scott and myself out to Scotland. So
Scotland. It sounds like a movie.
Yeah, right.
And for those of you who don't recognize the name Chris Bain, he actually plays Jay in Clerks.
And an absolutely fabulous actor.
Oh my God, no, it's like he is Jay.
I got to see the film at a theater. It was one of the big premieres.
Right.
The kids had brought it over, and it was a couple blocks away from where you guys had that theater group. Or I don't remember the name of the theater.
And again, it's like I missed that premiere out there.
And
was that
Brian,
the one on Comic Book Man?
Yes. Yeah, they actually, it was around that time because they did an episode of Comic Book Men while they were out there.
And if people can get their hands on, I don't know, is it out yet?
Not yet, no. I don't know where it's at right now, but I do know that last I heard, which was last year, I think, I don't know. They did have a producer's agent. And so there was just a lot of little things that they're just kind of
dotting their I's and crossing their T's.
Yeah, just getting every little detail put together. And so, hopefully this year.
It's a fantastic film. Joe, I want to play a game with Marilyn. We're gonna put up a photo, and you tell us your thoughts on the photo of the film that you're participating in the photo. Fair enough?
Okay.
I think we only have two.
Okay.
I'm more nervous than she is because I'm not quite sure what these photos say. Okay, the two. Okay,
I would assume it was the two above the last one you showed.
Okay, so we'll start off with number one.
If this screws up, Marilyn, do not blame Joe. It's because I'm a buffoon.
I will contest. Anyway.
Tell us about this.
Okay, so that is Rogue Warrior Robot Fighter. It is the third film that I've done with writer-director Neil Johnson.
Okay.
And that is Tracy Birdsall that I'm working with. And I got to say that this is one scene that I consider, one on my top 5 as far as like favorites, having worked on and just working with Tracy as well. We were on a slight cliff there looking for aliens, and it was just a lot of fun to do, though.
And you're a total badass.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like that. That's a cool picture. The other, what was the other lady's name?
Tracy Birdsall.
She has a Tara Reid thing going on.
She's been in the business for quite a long time, and she has a lot of pretty decent connections and stuff like that. But let me see here. It's like going real quick on my on what she's been in. There we go. Because she does have a pretty. Oh, she was in a film called Who's Jenna, based on porn star, I think.
Oh, Jenna Jameson.
Thank you. Uh-huh.
Isn't it amazing, Joe?
I didn't know that,
how
but
quickly
Dave
I came up
did
with that?
immediately. So.
I was like, let me just go look at my DVD collection.
I'm terrible with names, just awful. But yeah, no, she has quite a list of independent films as well and stuff like that. So,
all right, Joe, put up the next victim picture.
Sure.
What do we have here?
So that is oh, wait a minute. Lake Erie. And we actually shot on the shores of Lake Erie.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was fun. So I play a realtor. I'm at the top of the movie. And I sell a house to this woman who's recently lost her husband, and strange things just start to happen at this house.
Oh, nice.
Now, supposedly the house that we shot at was also haunted.
Oh, nice.
I didn't experience anything. Darn it. But then again, I probably would have shit my pants too if I had.
And that'd be a whole nother podcast.
I mean, there were a few times that I was in the house all by myself, and I'm just like, so anything could happen? Nothing,
Jeff, who's watching us tonight, said, Marilyn, I enjoyed my signed Blu-ray copy of Alien Armageddon that I got from you at the Mr. Hush Weekend of Fear 2.
Jeff, thank you.
So, Mr. Ridgely, is our intrepid co-host available to pop on tonight? Because I think Marilyn might know who this gentleman is.
One of my favorite people of all time, Mr. Scott Schiaffo.
Hey! Hi!
Hey, how are you? So nice to see you.
Good seeing you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So happy you're okay. I'm just worried about you because California got so nutty in the last couple of weeks with the virus. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thank God you're okay.
Yeah, I've been healthy. Knock on wood. I just am careful. I go out, when I need to, and I wear my mask, and I stay away from people who. Well, I stay away from all people, whether they're wearing masks or not. But yeah, Monday morning I got an eye doctor appointment, so it's like actually next week is all doctor's appointments.
Oh man, well you were able to go back to work, and then that's all. When did that end again?
Well, let's see. The first lockdown, we were able to go back for 2 months or 2.5 months. We were locked down again, and then went back in September, and then December we're closed up again. So,
oh man, again, every time I see California, I think of you immediately. And I was talking to Jewel about, New York, East Coast, New York and New Jersey are so dense. And then when I see that you guys out there are having a bigger problem now again, but in my mind, you're more spread out with the population. That's just so scary.
Yeah, but it's funny because during the first lockdown, I mean, it was really sparse out there. There were not a lot of people. And once we opened up the second time, I mean, it wasn't sparse, but it wasn't back to normal. But I would have to say it's like people are traveling out there, as if nothing's going on since I would say, I don't know, October. And I think it was the holidays. Now, the first time that we were locked down that we were closed the second time, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that because the riots were going on when they okayed the openings. And I'm like, why? Wait 2 weeks? Because I know in 2 weeks' time, it's like things are going to be bad. And sure enough, it's like, that's I didn't expect that it would happen 3 times.
Just so glad you're okay. Hey, Dave, how are you, man? Happy New Year, brother.
Happy New Year, brother. Everything turn out nicely for you?
Oh, yes. I can't complain. I feel very blessed. Things are going pretty smoothly overall, even with the uptick. And we had another, we'll get into it maybe another time, but that Rocky Raccoon made another appearance. Marilyn, you don't know what that is, but we had a raccoon invade our attic.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was crazy. And we, Carrie's an animal lover. We didn't want to hurt him, but you can't have him either.
No.
So we got rid of him once we boarded everything up. And then right after New Year's, we came home from New Year's Day dinner. And the guy, he almost got back in again. And again, I'm face to face with him.
Oh, my God.
And he looks like Lugosi to me. With
Why don't you name him Lugosi?
It's just funny. Carrie thinks he's the sweetest, most adorable thing, and he just wants to break in to be a pet. But to me, I mean, he literally frightens me out of my wits.
There are people who do have pet raccoons. I mean, and you know, the thing is, you don't know how much you can transition a wild animal like that.
Right, right.
Especially when they, it's not like you had him since he was like a little tiny thing.
Exactly.
See,
And
I gotta add that, growing up on Long Island, we did find baby raccoons, and we built a shed or a little coop underneath our pool. And they were great for about 6-7 months, but once they hit maturity,
they got crazy. Yeah. Well, yeah, no. Well, but anyway, again, thank you for asking. Things are going really well. I'm very blessed. Had very nice holidays. You guys gave me a great birthday party. Marilyn, it's so good to see you, and you're doing okay. Again, we worry about you out there with the uptick.
Thank you. I'm
Mr.
good.
Schiaffo, one bit of information I would like to share with you for the very final week of 2020 on the network Tubi. Our film Wits End on their top 100 came out number 37 for that week.
Wow.
37.
37.
37. Oh my God.
I didn't even get the connection.
it's better than 99.
It's but worse than 36.
Can't make that up. That's amazing. That's amazing stuff.
Yep. So now that you guys are together, you guys have done so many conventions together. Do you guys have any cool road stories you guys could share?
Oh my gosh. I'm so terrible at remembering things.
Well,
Scott,
we've had a lot of tremendous times at the actual gigs, but not traveling because she's coming from a different area.
Yeah.
And obviously, Brian and I are East Coast. Marilyn comes out from the West, and then we meet. But Dallas, New Year's in Dallas was a wonderful thing.
It was amazing.
Marilyn got to be part of the Stan Lee roast, and she did a phenomenal job. It was great to see those guys up there on the stage and being part of the roast.
Mind you, I didn't know I was going to be part of the roast until like 1:00 that day.
Yeah,
and,
that was.
And
really
I was just like, I'm what? I'm like, I gotta write something together. It's like, oh my God, what am I gonna write? It's like, and I quickly put that together. I don't know how. I don't know how. You know how sometimes it's like you're doing something and you kind of blank out and you don't remember it, and it's like I kind of remember bits and pieces of it, and I just wanted to know that it's like that at least it was getting laughs, and I think I remember hearing some laughs, so that was a good thing.
Yeah, no, you did a wonderful job. I was very happy to be in the audience and see you up there with Brian, and it was a powerful day. There was,
gosh,
Michael
yeah.
Rooker. You had so many powerful names. It was such a wonderful night.
Yeah, I mean, even though like I was like, oh my God, what can I tell you about? It's like, but that definitely is one to be memorable for the rest of my life, obviously, especially, since Stan Lee's passing and stuff like that. I have to say too, though, I mean, it's always great when we get to travel together, and I am so happy that we were able to travel to London together.
Oh yeah, London was for me that was a big highlight.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you were so nice, and David, Marilyn, and Brian were really nice to go with me to Abbey Road because I had to go see the Abbey Road studio.
Of course,
I remember you showing me the photos; they were awesome.
Yeah,
it's not like you were twisting our arm all that much. I mean, it's like, that was also, something to for us to be able to see as well. Not that I would have thought about it had you not been there,
Yeah, that was great. We've had a lot of wonder, and New Orleans doing the reboot was a wonderful.
Yeah.
And David, your shows, your Weekend of Fear, we had a great time. You had us out there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys do the famous Beatles photo redo of where you guys were walking through the walk together? That would have been classic.
Well, we did it for
me.
Scott.
They did it
Yes.
for me. Yeah.
It's like, and here I am. I'm trying to get like individual shots, but people keep getting in the way. I was getting annoyed at, because it's like, can everybody have their chance? Can I at least do this? And then, because then we have the cars to contend with as well, and the lighting was awful.
That intersection was nonstop.
Yeah.
People doing that photo op, which is maddening. It must be that way round the clock, 365 days a year. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and we were there, pretty much later in the day, maybe an hour before sunset. So trying to get really nice lighting on that, and because I was too far to be able to use the flash, I had my my Canon 7D. But still, I mean, as frustrating as it was, with the people in the cars, it's like it was still a lot of fun.
The beautiful Kari Werner says the raccoon thinks that Scott is his father.
Oh, please.
Next time he comes down, look at him and go, "I am your father." Dun, dun, dun.
It's funny. It's like he looks like he's hovering, and it's like, I don't know. It's crazy.
Have you guys fed him?
No, God, no. It's just a very strange thing, because you don't want to be that close to a wild animal like that in your own home. And he was popping his head out of the drop ceiling and went upside down. That's why I said he looked like Lugosi. I swear to God. He had the point and then the bandit thing, and I came face to face with him 3 times already, and we don't want to hurt him. We just can't have him in the house,
You know what, Scott? I think we should capture Lugosi. I'll come over to your house, and you and I will drive Lugosi up to O'Halloran's house, and we'll just drop him off in there, and he'll think he's one of the cats.
Oh, my gosh.
Right.
It's crazy, but I feel like I've been blessed. I had great holidays, and again, so glad to see you doing okay, Marilyn, out there.
Yeah.
Please stay safe.
Thank you. It's like, by the way, it's like great lighting.
Carrie set me up with all really nice new gear. I got a new USB mic now too, which is good for the podcasting, and you can see the whole studio now. You can, everything's in view. It's really nice.
Nice.
You clean up well, Mr. Schiaffo.
Thank you.
Yeah, that hair has gotten really long.
Oh man, it's the longest ever in my life. If you would have told me that at this point in my life that's when I would have the longest hair of my entire life, I never would have believed you. It's become almost like a dare now.
Now, let me ask you, Marilyn, if you and I, in an alternate reality, were husband and wife, throughout this pandemic, would you have been able to give me haircuts?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, damn it.
Well, yeah. It's like, whoever's in the household with me, I was like, yes, I can actually give haircuts. I mean, during the first lockdown, I had friends asking me, and actually I had clients calling me as well, if I would go over to their house. And I'm like, no, we're in full lockdown. It's like, I'm not going to go against the lockdown because A, I'm immunocompromised. I have asthma, and B, I'm not going to put my license in jeopardy or get fined because I can't afford it. But once we were opened up the second time and all that stuff, I'm like, okay, it's like I know what I need to do outside, so as long as we're safe, I'll do some haircuts outside or anything like that.
Yeah, it's hard because you have to get close. You can't really do a 6 foot. You can't do 6 feet. You're right on them.
Yeah.
Unless she has like a hedge clipper.
Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
I think our next movie, and I'm going to ask Marilyn right now to be a part of it, is going to be Scott versus the Raccoon. I think that's comedy gold. Marilyn, one time Brian, Scott, and I were driving. It was like a 6-hour trip, so I think we were heading out to maybe Pittsburgh.
Uh-huh.
And we were talking about the possibility of making a movie together. And I came up with this idea where it was either Brian or Scott's was about to propose to, was about to get married. And we were all out drinking on a deck, and either Brian or Scott, whoever this character would be, would have left a wedding ring on the railing of the deck where we were all partying. And we get really drunk, and we wake up the next morning, and the ring is gone. But Scott comes up with the conclusion that a wild animal ate it.
The raccoon.
And the movie would have been me, Brian, and Scott going through the countryside, looking through poo to find the ring.
Oh my God.
You just can't come up with brilliance like that.
And that movie became The Hangover.
Yeah.
Did that really happen?
No, it's just a different version.
Okay. We still have to do the poo movie, Scott.
The Pooh movie.
The poo movie.
As it's affectionately known as the Pooh movie.
Do you have any recollection of this stupidity?
I actually do. No, I do. You and Brian have had some really bizarre road stories because we have traveled in close quarters for long distance. The time we were lost out in the
Amish territory.
Right. And we had two different opinions on the children that were out in the field. David said, "Oh, look how adorable." And I was frightened that these little children dressed like adults with like dead black eyes looking at the car going by.
Was Children of the Corn in the back of your mind?
No, exactly. I was frightened. That's just keep going.
He actually got petrified of this like 9-year-old Amish boy. But the scary part is that this 9-year-old Amish boy was like 6'3" and was riding a tricycle. And he was and he made like eye contact with Scott, like, "I'm going to kill you." And Scott, like the rest, is like, "Dude, hit the pedal. I'm like, it's an Amish kid.
I can actually see that.
And Brian was just sitting in the passenger seat looking at me with his arms crossed like, "You two are morons." Which is pretty much what he always said.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep. Well, Marilyn, thank you so much for being on our
You're
show
welcome.
tonight.
Thanks for having me.
And can you let everybody know out there where they can find you on social media?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And basically Marilyn Gigliotti, or on Twitter, it's That Clerks Girl.
Sweet. And I would be remiss if I didn't let you leave without asking you, is there any word on a possible Clerks 3 yet?
I think I did see Kevin mention how he was in the middle of writing it, because he was looking back at something just to, I don't know, just something for the timeline or to make sure that he was getting certain things right. I don't know. But yeah, I know that he mentioned it. So there's that.
Well, with that being said, if you two guys are not involved in it, I really have no desire to see it. So,
well, he did tell me at the Clerks 3 reading that I am definitely a part of it. So hopefully, through the iterations, I don't get written out again.
So, fingers crossed. I hope you're, I hope that it works out for you.
Thank you.
Marilyn, thank you for being a sweetheart. Thank you for being on the show tonight. And we will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Dave. Bye, Joe. Scott, hopefully we'll get to see each other soon.
Yes, but if and when conventions come back safely.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Oh,
she
Mr.
is awesome.
She is. She's a great guest. Mr. Schiaffo, 2021, Happy New Year. And I want to thank you for always being a great wingman, and more importantly, a wonderful and dear friend. And another thing that I also wanted to bring up, since we were last together, we had our big Christmas show, as you know, and our dear pal Brian O'Halloran was with us. Three amigos. He's right. He's the third. I guess he's the first amigo. You're the second amigo. I'm the third. I'll take the third amigo. I'll be the Martin Short of the group, which is kind of sad. Since we had our last show, Brian celebrated a birthday, and when we did my big birthday extravaganza, the show actually fell on my birthday, August 2nd. And when we did a show, your birthday actually also fell on a show night, and we were able to have little get-togethers. So with that being said, I wanted to wish a dear friend of this show's and a dear friend of ours a very happy birthday, Brian. I know it's late, but we were on hiatus, so everybody at the Indie Brigade loves you, and everybody wishes you a very happy birthday.
Yes, indeed, very much so. And his lovely partner in crime, Diana Devlin, just recently had her birthday.
Just about a week ago. Yeah,
right.
And so, happy birthday to you, Diana. And Diana, I hope to have you on the show one night because you have a wonderful history and a great story, and I would love to have you on to tell people about it. Mr. Schiaffo, is there anything you'd like to say in parting, my friend?
I just want to thank everybody who has been following along, supporting everything that I do, and also supporting the show. Thank you, everybody who popped in, but I wasn't able to respond tonight to any of the threads. Thank you to the lovely and talented Jewel Carey, my partner in crime, who my life would, I don't know where I would be without her in my life. She makes everything special for me. And again, Scott Meany, who I love to death, who's like a brother from another mother, and Lance Wagner and Libby McDermott and all the wonderful people who support this show. Thank you so much. You make it a real blessing to be a part of this. And of course, you, David, thank you for all you do for me. You've been a wonderful friend for many years now.
Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way, brother. I will see you hopefully next Friday.
Yes, you will.
And who knows who will show up on this lovely train wreck of a show. I want
to thank Joe Rid. Joe, you are a beautiful son of a bitch, you bastard. You're a great guy. You're always very supportive, and you always reach out behind the scenes, and you keep things going smoothly, and I want to let you know I appreciate that.
Actually, Scott, I'll take it one step further because Joe is the backbone of the entire brigade. And just all kidding aside, I know George loves to goof with him, and they have a wonderful, deep, lasting friendship that you could see, and he has the whole BlameJoe. But I blame Joe for being the backbone and the awesome guy who put this all together.
He is. He's a sweetheart of a guy.
Yep.
Thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate it.
Good night, Mr. Schiaffo.
All right. Good night, guys.
See you Friday.
See you.
All right, Joe. Another one in the books. And again,
hey, I'm getting all misty, so you got to give me a second. No.
Okay.
That was really cool. Thank you, gentlemen.
We absolutely mean it. I want to say again to George, thank you so much for letting me play in your sandbox. George, thank you again for letting me be on your show tonight with my childhood heroes, the wonderful gentlemen from the Monster Squad. If I talk too much, I apologize. It was out of childhood giddiness. But with that being said, I want to say Happy New Year, Happy 2021 to everybody. I hope you all stay healthy and well. If you get a chance, check out Wits End on Tubi or Amazon or any place you stream movies. There's going to be a special Blu-ray release on Wits End coming soon. Check out Mr. Hush on all those same platforms, and Full Moon Fever comes out in October. And look for big Pumpkinhead news in the next month or two. With that being said, I want to come up with a new slogan for my sign-off for 2021. And I think this is perfect for this year. Be kind to each other, and good night.